Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Title for conviction as an org, investing in players.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco One Blade.
Welcome one and all back to NACL playoffs, and I couldn't be more excited. Shout out to Philips Norelco One Blade. I could definitely use it. The move has been kind to me. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby. Man, we got some fun stuff today, don't we?
Do or die, best of 5 between our spring finalists and one of the teams that has been really a highlight of the NACL. Is a team that has overachieved expectations in spring and summer. Need to beat the spring final or champions today, though, if they want to have a better summer than spring and keep that road to compete for the LCS slot alive.
Keeping your head above water is good, but getting out of the water is the most important part of it. That being said, we get to take a little walk down memory lane that you're going to be chauffeuring us through. So let's go ahead and take a look at the recap from last week.
The first week of playoffs has 4 of our teams, 1 best of 3 and 1 best of 5 win away from competing for an LCS slot, while another 4 teams have 1 life left in the lower bracket. I'm Cubby, and this is your NACL recap. Our playoffs started the same way our regular season started, with a Cupid 2-0 over Conviction. Telmio was back in the lineup for playoffs, but Cupid were the better team on the day. Superior Dragon Control and Team Fighting had our newest org showing no love to our spring champs, as Insanity and Telmio now have to run the lower bracket to 4-peat. Game 1 of Dorado versus Maryville was led by Coach Niles, as Maryville needed the win to play with UG for round 2 of playoffs, and he gave them the early games they needed to hang up the warm-up suits for the jacket and tie. Game 2 featured a Zeri mid for Dorado, but all the attention was bot lane, as Scary Jerry and Opsinatus ran this game. Scary Jerry averaged over 1k DPM and over 30 CS at 14, earning Player of the Series, and Maryville the only upset of round 1. NRG was our only team to go 5-0 in groups and picked up right where they left off with a 2-0 over Contingent. Mini has gone from relegated to one of our best mids within a year, and Kisno continues to be a much bigger asset to NRG in summer as they dominated the series. Our collegiate bout ended up being a schooling given by one team to another, as Winthrop handed a lopsided 2-0 to Ole Miss. Wilson was everywhere on the buy in Game 1, and Game 2, Tomo picked LeBlanc Bot, helping Winthrop net 29 of the 39 kills in the game, as Tomo went deathless for the series. Remember to keep up with the NACL at WatchNACL on X, and follow NACL on Twitch.tv and YouTube to keep up with all the playoffs action. Thank you so much to Philips Norelco One Blade for keeping us sharp, and thank you for tuning in to see who gets the right to fight disguised for the LCS slot. I've been Cubby, and this has been your NACL recap.
Thank you, Cubby. Now, Cubby, what are your thoughts on that? I
had fun writing a few clips in there. You know, not often we get to use the writing skills anymore, so it was nice to bring that back.
The creativity from old NACL, you know,
it was nice to bring that back. You know, showing no love to Cupid, schooling. These are the jokes that I live for, Mazel, sadly.
Me too, brother. Me too. But let's go ahead and actually talk about what's important. And that's going to be what's going on here in the NACL playoffs, because we have such a weird position that we're in especially in the lower bracket. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I think that it's so interesting that Conviction are even here, right? And maybe even looking for another run like they did last split. That being said, we get to hear from their opponent here. So I hear that our coach face-to-face interview is ready to go. Cubby, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, shout out to Phil Snorkel One Blade for helping us keep us sharp on this, as well as we're joined by GM Miliana of Dorado. Miliana, thank you so much for joining us. We haven't ran the lineups yet, but I think fans at home might be in for a surprise, as the last 5 to 6 weeks, you guys have been competing with Inflame at support. Today, Redemption returns to the lineup, your support from spring. What went behind the decision to play Redemption today? And put your guys' faith in him over Inflame, who's been with the team for the last 5-6 weeks and has played very well.
Well, we're really proud of Inflame and the hard work and the improvement he's made over the split. But unfortunately, due to, I guess, a bit of like an internal issue, Inflame has decided to step down for just this game. So that's pretty much what's happened. And it actually wasn't a decision on the side of staff. It's kind of a decision that Inflame ended up making. Pretty last minute, actually. We were still scrimming with him yesterday. Yeah.
All right. That adds a little bit of interest and intrigue then, diving into today. I know that Redemption's been abroad throughout the split. Do you want to fill fans in on what he's been up to?
Yeah. So Redemption booked tickets for the wrong date, so they overlap with most of this NACL split. And he's been in Korea for, I think, like a couple of months and also visiting family in China. So he's done some boot camping and some visiting family, and now he's back in NA.
Yeah, I know from spring that the team and some of the players around the league were really giving Redemption a lot of credit for bringing in outside VODs to practice, trying to implement stuff to make the team better. How difficult has it been, though, to kind of find or regain that voice that he had on the team, given that this is such a last-second step in from him?
Well, I guess we'll find out today because he hasn't played a single scrim with us.
All right. Well, it might be adventurous then, Miliana. Of course, as we dive into Conviction today, this might be the last time we see Dorado. Also, a win. You get to keep on running through the lower bracket. What's it been like trying to keep things up for the team? And how do you feel like this team has performed throughout the year, given some of the expectations that you've had, if this does end up being the last time we see you?
I think that, well, for the regular season, we definitely performed better than we thought, and that most people thought, right? Like, nobody thought we were going to go 4-1 in the regular season, I think. So we're really proud of that. And I'm really proud of all my players and all the work they put in throughout the years to get to the point where I think they're kind of like respected and seen as like solid NACL level players instead of just like Oki players who like kind of got a chance randomly now. I think that their stocks have like gone really like a lot higher, and I'm just really proud of them. And obviously losing to Maryville in the upper bracket was a huge disappointment for us. And obviously, it was really disappointing. But I think at the end of the day, my players put in a lot of work, and you can definitely see the results in their gameplay. I don't think one bad series defines us, but yeah, I'm just really proud of them. I'm really happy about the progress they made. I love them all, and I'm just so glad that we got to experience this together.
Well, hopefully you guys get to win today so that experience continues. Miliana, best of luck to you in Dorado as you go up against the spring champs and Conviction today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Mazel. Let's get you back in here.
Hello.
I'd say a relatively honest interview. I wasn't quite expecting, the 0 scrims with Redemption, and at least as to why receive Redemption today. That was a question that we were going to ask at the start of the broadcast, Mazel, and we're kind of going to let the answers dictate what the rest of today might give us. But that was, frankly, not what I was expecting.
Yeah. And hey, you got to roll with the punches. Sometimes things don't go the way you expect them to be. And especially in NACL, we always know that craziness can follow. So I really want to see Redemption has today. I mean, obviously, they were talking about the scrims and things along those lines, being able to boot camp a little bit while overseas. But they're going to have to put it together today. One of these teams is going to step forward here in the lower bracket. The other team we will not see until next year, Cubby. That's the craziest thing about this. Conviction already in a position like this. The Kings of Spring looking a little bit more like themselves now, but Dorado need to be able to put it together today.
Hey, look, I feel like Conviction played a decent series against Cupid. Cupid beat them. They were the better team on the day, but Conviction I feel like those are two of the better teams that we have. And the real story for Conviction is that given the pedigree that this team has, we've really given them a break throughout a lot of the regular season. And it's just kind of like, all right, we saw how spring went, which is Conviction was the 6th seed coming in from regular season. And then playoffs started, and they ran the bracket. Like, the bracket ran through them is what we kind of expected from Conviction at the start of the split. We now have used a life from Conviction's standpoint that did not happen in spring. And when does kind of the grace stop, or where does it stop when it comes to this team? At least for me, I think that they do end up winning on the day, but we have given this team a lot of breaks, and
we have
any more breaks from them, we don't see them again. And Insanity, Sniper, Tomio, players that are considered LCS talents, and a couple of those players who have dominated Tier 2 since they've made appearances here.
Yeah,
it's a chance that we don't see them get to compete for that LCS slot, which of course is the goal, and where a lot of people put, especially a player like Insanity or Sniper, just trying to, hope to see them at the pro level again.
Yeah, and that's the big kicker right there, right? Like, this was a majority of the team that was trying to push that DSG team just a year ago. And to see that be maybe a little bit of a different story a year later is just crazy to me. But as we see, it's Conviction versus Dorado. One of these two teams is going home today. As we look at Conviction, again, looking a lot more like themselves, but still, is Tomio's influence, is that kind of control over the jungle going to be enough for this team?
I mean, if it wasn't for Redemption making a surprise appearance today, we'd probably be focusing on the roster swaps that Conviction has made, whether it is the start of the year or during the year. Of course, Perry stepped in for a couple weeks for Tomio. Tomio's back now. And the bot lane coming in, Cody Sun and Zyko, I really feel like when Tactical entered, that was a big part of the story in spring. The original setup for the bot lane for Conviction, it was different when Tactical stepped in. It just really felt like Sniper, Insanity, and Tactical. I was calling Insanity and Tactical two of the cheat codes of the league, right?
Yeah.
Tactical missing
Rightfully
and Cody
so.
Sun being in, that has been, I think, that missing X factor that did make Conviction feel like that unbeatable team. Just how good Tactical was when he stepped back into Conviction last split, and really helped him net that seat for C9. But we haven't felt the same impact from Cody Sun and Zyko in the bot lane, the same way that we felt it when Tactical and Bounty stepped into the team.
Yeah, not yet, and maybe that is the case for today. A little bit of a step up needed for them. Dorado Gaming on the other side, as you said earlier, and as we've been talking about the entire show so far, big change in the bot lane. Redemption, not a single scrim with the team, going to be starting today for their Do or Die series, but it's the other parts of the team that we really wanted to focus on here, Cubby.
Yeah, Dorado as a team, they really have exceeded those expectations, and I think they've done so as a stack, but that was missing in week 1 of playoffs. I think their big improvement from spring to summer was the fact that the early games got better. It was something where they struggled, I think, to get into games last spring, but when we saw them get into games, they played the map well enough as a team where we knew that Dorado was competitive. And I think the difference between spring and summer was that they went from taking games off of all the teams to taking series off of teams. But Maryville and Coach Dials got off to really hot starts with the early game last week. Dorado for the season was averaging being up about 250 gold at 15. The series last week, they were down over 1,000 gold at 15. I think Maryville really put them in a hole early, and we saw kind of some of the issues we saw in spring for Dorado, which is there are a couple games that individually they just don't get into. And I think that's going to be a very big challenge going up against the might that Conviction brings to the Rift today.
And especially in that jungle, especially Tomio. I know they lost their series, things along those lines, but Tomio, there was a reason why he was kind of running the Rift, it felt like, with the support of his team, obviously, last split. But being able to have this matchup is really interesting to me because we have seen Lojaz grow as a player in and out of game. I know he's been very vocal about some of the things he's been trying to work on as well. But we have seen some of the improvement in the early game based around this guy. So today, this is the matchup that I think is going to dictate the tempo and the pace of the entire series.
Yeah, and for me, the jungle matchup was kind of the big story of Dorado's last series, as Niles just he had a really good series. I feel like the Vi is a takeaway pick from Dorado and Low Jazz, and was used to great effect in that game 1. And then game 2, the Lee Sin, I mean, again, was able to play fast and kind of broke this. I like the Malachi Zeri idea for jungle mid from Dorado, but it was broken by Maryville early on. And Jerry and Obstinatus got off to a hot start in that one. On the flip side, I do feel like Music had a really big impact on that series between Cupid and Conviction. Again, I don't feel like Conviction necessarily played bad in that series. Cupid just played better. And I think how they used their tempo, how they controlled the Dragons, that was Music dictating the pace of the game, where we are used to seeing Tomio dictate the pace of the game quite a bit with this Conviction squad. So I really feel like whichever jungler can show up on the day could have a really big impact on this series, because I do feel like it's part of the reason that we have both of these teams in the lower bracket.
Exactly that. And another position we want to talk about was this mid lane a little bit, but more so specifically the champion pool and the meta that we've seen for these two guys, and trying to kind of adapt that into this series. Obviously, you got to take everything out of the bag in a do or die series, but how much of that do you think we're actually going to see here?
Ooh, I mean, it is best of 5s, and I wanted to talk about some of the champ pools, because I think that when you combine other mids, usually you have a little bit of a bigger Venn diagram in the middle, Mazel. But when it comes to Adam, he does have a bit of a different pool that he's been playing versus the other mids. And it has been used quite well. Again, this was a team that was 4-1 in the regular season. So Adam, I think, was really stepping up on some of these champs. I mean, the Zeri isn't even on his side from the last series too, so we know he can bring multiple ADs to the table. But Insanity's always had the champion Ocean, and I feel like Insanity has been playing pretty stock standard what is meta, and that is very mage heavy in this season. But I do know that he can play some of what Adam has in his pool. I don't know if Adam can play some of the champs that Insanity's been willing to play, but it is pretty wild to see Dorado, like, with no games of Syndra, Orianna, Ryze, having this much success. I think it does really speak to just how different the pool has been for Dorado and Adam.
Yeah, it definitely has been. And we've always known Insanity to be, a crazy chef in the kitchen, it feels like, in any team that he's ever been a part of. But I wonder if we're going to be getting more stock standard here tonight, just to make sure they get the win. Because, again, for Conviction, so much of this matters, and a little bit more weight on their shoulders, it feels like. And we heard, obviously, the idea from Dorado is, they were successful. They were able to make to this point, and anything further is going to be a boon, right? But for Conviction, if they don't make it back to the promo tournament, if they don't make it back to where they felt like they were gunning for, at least throughout the first half of this year, I feel like that's such a disappointment for them. And I know a lot of these guys experienced are going to have that weight on their shoulders. So I think it's going to be important to kind of keep that out of game aspect inside the game as well.
Good to see some chuckles coming in already from Psycho, is to keep things kick things off here. I think that this matchup, like, from kind of the outside looking in, Mazel, I know I've pitched it a lot as worried about the strength of Conviction versus Dorado. I feel like this matchup is good for Conviction, just because Dorado does struggle against teams that individually lane well. I think throughout the year, that's been where Dorado has fallen short most consistently. But in terms of expectations for these two orgs, it really is kind of the polar opposites meeting.
Yeah.
With Conviction having all the expectations on their shoulder, especially after spring, just given the pedigree of some of these members, and then being the last seed and dropping out early. It's like, we're talking about this team still very much in the element of what is spring and not summer, and I feel like players have earned that pedigree. But on the flip side with Dorado, it's like, man, what a way to really stamp off their year with a win today. And I know the real goal is to try and compete for an LCS slot, but what a way to prove that you have improved that much as a team. As I know that Redemption coming in for Inflame is a little last second and definitely throws an interesting twist on this, but the Dorado has really stuck together as a roster. And for them to stick together throughout the year and then to, really topple Conviction and take them out of the running to compete for that LCS slot, I think that would be a very appropriate end to what has been a successful year for Dorado. But of course, It's playoff time, so it's about wins.
It's game time.
Not just development. We got to see if Dorado can actually take down the spring champs.
What time is it? Game time. Conviction going to be on that blue side, though. We already see them banning away the Pantheon, the Olaf, and the Azrael. They will have that first pick available to them, and counter pick will be in the traditional red side this time around for Dorado, who did ban away the Nocturne, being on their final ban now.
Does mean that Dorado did elect second pick for their choice, so we'll be interested to see how they use that counter pick and see if they want to use any more of these flexes. Because I think that the Zeri, that opens up some flexes if you want to play that or play around that. So curious if that ends up being the call for Dorado. But a lot of power picks taken off the table here. Cassio, one of them that did get through, will be in the hands of Insanity, most likely.
That's always scary, man. That champion in his hands is terrifying. I also do really like the last second Vi ban there towards Tomio. Just a really good setup tool for him, and would have been really nice with the Cassio, too. See what the answer is going to be for Dorado, though. They have the 1-2 punch here. Figure out what kind of duo they want to run. If they do want to highly prioritize that mid-jungle, potentially. It does look like maybe some flexibility is available to them with the Syndra, which we can see in different lanes, but not as often recently.
I mean, already though, Adam playing a champion that we have not seen him play all split. I think really taking something away that is important to Insanity and Conviction, as Syndra has been a favorite of theirs. So kind of interested to see that pool already change a bit, as intruding a bit more on Insanity's ground. But Syndra into Cassio, having that scatter to try and control the snake later on can be big. Jarvan will help, as Cassio's only way to get out of Cataclysm is a flash. So a lot of ways to already play around the Cassio taken for Dorado early.
Yeah, I think that's really nice to have, just being able to play around this champion, even though a lot of times it feels like you can't in the later parts of the game. Being able to shut it down early can be extremely, extremely nice. They will end up grabbing the Nefiri for Tomio, so a little bit more carry potential. And there's our top trio already for Conviction. They lock in the Gnar too.
I think Redemption was a little bit bummed seeing the Gnar get picked up there. Maybe puts Decoy in a spot where it vanes the common counter, but not exactly the role that Decoy plays in this team, which is very much kind of trying to keep his lane phase quiet. And I think the way that Decoy plays and has impacted the map has been really good and kind of underrated. I think that we boil down Dorado as a team that has a better mid game than where they're at in the standings. I think at times the nuance behind that comes from like Lojaz Pantheon cheating the map or Tempo. He does very well, but I think kind of behind the scenes, Decoy, the decisions of what waves he plays and doesn't, where he TPs and when, I think that he gets a lot of those answers correct versus a lot of other top laners and isn't exactly a loud top laner. As top lane is the deepest role that we have talent-wise, I think that Decoy kind of gets lost in the shuffle a lot in there, but some of those quiet skills I think that he's brought to the team have gone, I think, uncredited with what he's been able to do. And honestly was something that was kind of missing for me in that series against Maryville, where I feel like Crimson did get the best of him individually in lane and with how he impacted the map. So curious if Decoy can change that around in this series.
And now he has to go against the other brother. How many times do we get to say, I think that's still such a cool fact that we get when we have like these top players that have to go up against two different brothers the same week. Or at least a week apart from each other.
They like dual pog back-to-back series.
Exactly.
I think that was my favorite part so far.
It was a great end.
Yeah.
But that being said, at least Decoy has some comfort here. He is definitely not played towards on this team, but being able to influence those later game fights is important. We got to catch up on the second phase of bans, though. We already get the bot lane bans coming through from Dorado. They get the Lucian and the Tristana banned away. Obviously, some flexibility where the Tristana can go, but it's all about support right now for Conviction. They got their Rakan ban, and then they transition over to another ADC and Ashe.
We've seen a lot of Ashe Seraphine crop back up, so interested to see that taken away, because I know Hub, Azrael was banned away. That's been a favorite of Hub's, but also very willing to play the Caitlyn. So and Redemption, of course, stepping back in. Bard was one of his stronger champions from Spring, already set up to pair up there. So does Conviction want to deny it, or do they take something else for themselves? They have a choice.
I'm interested in how the Caitlyn's going to do in this situation. If they want to try to put some resources down there, it could be good. The Ziggs coming through, though. So double APC right now for Conviction. And I personally love the Ziggs into Caitlyn. You have have the poke range. You can kind of stay away from the traps. The Satchel Charge is super huge against her, and you're going to have a Nautilus right next to you.
And Nautilus guaranteed lockup as well. Quite nice as Redemption. Yeah, I think it might shift him into a Leona. Which does bring, I think, some decent threat. Whether it's Leona or Bard into the Cassio and the Ziggs. We'll stick with the Bard for Redemption. So, again, a favorite from his in spring. And a bit of a deny from Zyko, too. Should note that moving forward. But I'm kind of with you, Mazel. I think that the ability for Ziggs Cassio to zone out the Syndra Caitlyn is something that might be real, and I think puts a little bit more importance on, is the Cataclysm going to be able to combo with the Equalizer, or is Bard going to be able to combo with Caitlyn? I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging for Dorado to do that, because they're going to want a longer fight to take advantage of the Caitlyn. But I think if they want that, they're going to have to find ways to close the gap and deal with the Cassio and the Ziggs, which they have some ways to do, but still really tough to get through those two champions. It really is only Jarvan throwing himself in there, and that can be nice, but is it going to be enough? We'll see. I think the combo is going to be really important for Dorado. I like this draft for Conviction.
Two very different positions for these teams to be in. Not only in some of the drafting that we've seen, very stalwart comps, it feels like, for some of these team fights, but then we were talking about the history, at least the recency of both these teams, and Dorado really picking it up here in split number 2, finding more early games, things that we were really wondering about from that split number 1, and trying to put together a further performance for this team. Whereas Conviction, they find themselves in the lower bracket. The champions of spring are one series away from not seeing that promotion tournament at the end of the year. Can they make the run? Does Dorado find a golden sunset? We will find out soon. Our first best of 5 of the NACL Summer Playoffs starts now.
Excited to see how this one pans out, Mazel. As I really feel like the game plan here for Conviction relatively simple. Leave Sniper to his own devices on the top side, work your way bot, try and play around this Nautilus. Whereas Lojaz, curious if he decides to take any options or kind of change up the pace of the game for himself here. And also just curious to see what kind of form Redemption's in coming off this boot camp. Again, Redemption's someone that we really came into the split saying it's going to be difficult for Inflame to fill the shoes of Redemption, a player that we really saw getting a lot of kudos from his team, from other players around the league, shouting him out as someone that can be... I remember Scary Jerry, after they beat Dorado in spring, was like, hey, shout out Redemption. This guy's working hard and I think can be good. He was getting a lot of kudos from some of the other bot laners around the league. Stepping in, though, like this is going to be tough. Just fitting into a team, even when you were so important. I think that it really sets up easily for some dissonance in terms of calls or strategies. And as Miliana said in the pregame interview, they haven't exactly practiced with Redemption coming into today, so it might be tough.
It is Bard, which if you don't have that communication unlocked, can probably be one of the hardest champions to make look good. So I'm really going to be keeping a side eye on what Redemption does on this Bard. He's going to need to get active, right? I don't know if they can win this 2v2, so getting impact with Lojaz will be extremely important for them. But let's go ahead and take a look at that jungle here. We are pathing same side down towards bot, and we're getting a 2v2. Hub in a little bit of trouble, under 200 health, is going to hit another bomb there, and this is what I was worried about coming out of the draft in the 2v2, and now you're going to have the influence from the jungles too.
Yeah, this Ziggs, just again, the ability to throw out the minefields and force Caitlyn and later on Syndra back. Definitely something that Dorado have ways to break it, but can they use those ways well, and can they use them together? I think that might really dictate whether this is a good game for them or one that feels Conviction favored. At the moment, bot lane Prio, though, gonna at least snap that bot crab in the hands of Tomio. Yeah, I think they kind of have to. So, Lojaz relegated to the other crab, and we will at least go from there.
Easy does it, you know, take it easy. We could be looking at an early dive, I guess. Maybe Tomio wants to try to catch Hub where he had to get that little back in. He is going to spot him out walking here. This could be interesting. I don't think with Redemption there, he can pull the trigger. He is going to complete the back. Unawares is Dorado as Hub gets his reset off, and now the bot lane 2v2 will continue. I actually see Cody-san saving his TP, realizing that the wave state is in a position he doesn't really need to use that and can use that later.
Yeah, I like that choice.
Yeah, I do too.
And
especially against Caitlyn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you one Bard Kate combo that might warrant a TP, and Cody-san going to save that for later. That wave was good. So...
Oh,
the
Adam at the flash was afraid of the little lollipop there.
I don't know if he had the flash. I think
it was close. I don't know, man. With the way that hook works, I would rather flash, honestly.
Did have Redemption in his back pocket, but gonna be safe. Use the flash. That's something you gotta imagine Conviction's gonna revisit now. As I mean, for both teams, it's two relatively immobile carries. In a lot of ways to attack both said immobile AD carries.
Oh, tried to get this guy to the weak. Redemption came in too. Zyko took the engage there, but now it's Redemption in some trouble. There's maybe some of that disconnect, a little bit of foreshadowing potentially as Lojaz forced to flash away, but Tomio's going to flash right on him, and there's the Twin Fangs. First blood for Insanity.
So the two immobile carries versus the other two immobile carries, one is going to be burstier and one's going to be more DPS heavy. Cassio, and the difference is that where that is, Cassio's the DPS versus Kate, whereas Syndra and Ziggs are kind of the burst. And that fight, there's not enough burst from Dorado to get through the meat that is Cassiopeia, and the Fury Cassio too strong early. So
they went in separately.
I think that was a little bit of kind of an overshow.
Because like they all before this, they were all going in one at a time, and then they had to retreat. And as soon as you defense flash, it's tough.
That was an element as well. I think the hook connecting initially, like the defense they had on the Zyka was good. I just don't know if it's a flag and drag, but Tomio, of course, was in the fog.
Yeah.
So Lojaz committing onto the Nautilus there ends up getting turned, and first blood for Conviction.
But hey, they're gaining a little bit of traction down here as Hub getting a bit of better end of Cody-san for now. Very slight in that case, but Dragon is up and available, and some of that prio in bot lane could lead to another fight. Lojaz instantly engaged as soon as Zyko saw him to flag and drag to safety. Adam coming around from the mid lane. We're getting another 3v3. Could turn into a 4v4 as TP is going to be used. Conviction going to hold the fort. Yo, Insanity's got a cook in here. Insanity's just gonna burn down Lojaz. Lojaz is just, he has no flash. One more Twin Fangs and Insanity goes up 2-0 in the match.
Oh, they really tried to be creative and at least get the level 6 crab for Lojaz. Thought that'd be the game changer, but no. Insanity, you're right. Flash was Jarvan. Insanity gets involved. DPS's him down. Now Dragon, no smite to contest. So Redemption's here, no spellbook for him. Just going to get the info as the first Dragon of the game. Should go to the side of Conviction.
Another Redemption gank. Oh, Flash trying to get the Cosmic Binding, get the double pump, and there's the power unleashed. Nice. Just enough to get the shutdown. Really nice heads-up play from Redemption. Maybe some of that boot camping coming in with the mechanics.
Nice Q flash from Redemption there. And also Adam getting the kill, the shutdown. That is something. So Insanity's 2-0, but at least Adam with a shutdown is able to somewhat answer the gold, as it's still relatively close in the mid lane. And does give Dorado a wee bit more control, so should just be Lojaz and Tomio returning to the jungle to clear. See if there's anything around grubs, but at least Dorado gets something in that sequence that did look to be all Conviction.
They get a little bit of something back, and you'll take that 10 times out of 10. But the timers on fights are not going to stop. You deploy on to the side for Zyko with the grubs coming up in about 30 seconds here. Look at the redeploys from Dorado as well.
Yeah, I actually like this from Dorado. They might be able to get into the grubs and contest it. Lojaz does have ult. Redemption won't have access to his, but I think with Zyko down, they're at a level they're now showing. There's a bit of a chance where they can actually get up here and contest, because Cody-san was bot, no TP, just based, and will be walking top. So this is a late response from Conviction. One where Dorado's going to have priority over this wave and should be able to at least get one grub. We'll see if they can get two.
Oh,
or none.
I think I do wonder, able to step in.
Yeah. No. So I thought that it was going to be sniper bases, and it ends up being Cody-san late to the player to respond, but sniper stayed. So he kills that wave. Dorado gets cold feet because they weren't connected with mid, and it creates this kind of 3v4 scenario. Is they're going to answer back? Yeah, they'll take the summoner spell. Dorado will, but yeah, Conviction gets out. That Grub's play / rotation was so weird. I really felt like it was going to be a late swap and Conviction trades down, but then Sniper sticks around. The benefactor off that play was Decoy for Dorado. He got a little bit of free time bot. 2 plates left on that turret. With 3 Grubs here for Conviction, I think that they'll take the fact that Sniper lost a wave to secure that objective as all 3. And kind of a sequence that I almost want to look back at just afterwards, just with both teams from their perspective, because I think that Adam not being able to connect was the big difference there, with Zyko kind of playing around mid, and they just trapped Dorado in that top river where they had no play for the Grubs, and the shift they tried to make, well, Insanity shut it down. That they do. I will probably lean a little bit more into Caitlyn being stronger later, just as the traditional marksman, but is Caitlyn going to be able to play the game? That's a question that we don't really have the answer to, or one that I'm at least going to question as this game goes on, because the consistency of being able to execute as Ziggs Nautilus in the Fury is really high into whichever target you want to take off the map. So. Honestly, if Redemption's able to sneak back, kind of get here, that was ults used by Conviction. That may not be available for the Dragon. Meanwhile, Sniper with the E-hop tried to get Decoy into the wall. That was very close in finding the stun and what could have potentially been the kill. Sniper could have followed up with the wall-up flash. I didn't see if he had wall-up up, but I think that's the combo he was looking for as the Gnar. That said, Decoy won't have an ult available for the Dragon, and both top laners with TPs, those ults missing, matters a lot more for the Rumble.
Cataclysm on top of it too. Ace in the hole. Isn't enough? Zyko's stuck in the pit there, and Low Jazz will get the kill. Redemption with an escape plan for Dorado if they need to. That power unleashed starting to hit strong.
And again, the fact that Redemption escaped the ults being used by Cody-san and Zyko, I think that has an impact on that play. Good sidestep by Redemption to kind of open up the look from Dorado on the flip side, but this is one that I'd like to see Conviction kind of respect a little bit more. Maybe use the Ziggs Cassio or the mages to buy time. I feel like Zyko is playing a little bit too far up in that scenario, just knowing that they are down in terms of tools that they can use.
Tomio just sticking it in the pit there. He needs to be a little bit careful with his health bar. As actually Dorado going to take forward flag onto the Dragon here. Would be the first for them, second for Conviction. Looks like Conviction wanted to go fight Aniva, the dredge line in, and here goes Tomio. He's not able to get the Dragon. They're looking for the kill, looking for the resets. The Dark and Daggers are hitting. They're down low, petrifying gaze, but the bleed enough. He's out of there. Now they're turning it back. Insanity not able to get the damage down. Psycho now has to run away. Tomio finally going to run down Low Jazz. That Dark and Dagger does connect. Now Redemption is overextended. Didn't expect them to stick around. The CC does connect, but Adam is there to dissuade Conviction from moving forward. Dragon to Dorado, and they make it out by the skin of their teeth. Everybody but Low Jazz.
These fights are close. Kick things off here. Tense playoff match. I thought it was actually pretty well played by both sides. I know Low Jazz went down, but actually did his damnedest to, I think, buy a lot of time for his team. And did get Hub out of there, which is important. His Hub kind of got a wave, and I'd rather have my jungler go down than my AD in the back half. So things even up in the Dragons department here at Mazel, and a game remaining close to kick off our first best of 5.
I am all about the best of 5, man. We finally get it in summer. I know we were so excited in spring when we finally got to our best of 5s, but it just makes Fearless that much more strategic and makes these teams work that much harder. We are getting lane resets now, looking at it. First items coming up for everyone here now. About a minute away from the Rift Herald. No presence on the bot side for now because the Dragon not for a long while, but I do wonder how much prevalence and who wants this Rift Herald the most, as we've seen Conviction take that top side already.
I'm going to favor the team that has 3 grubs. It's getting a little bit more mileage out of that Herald.
Maybe?
Potentially. Just maybe.
First time the spikes change your mind at all, you know? You
I'm
trying to sell
I don't know. I appreciate it. I think that Dorado probably still need a little bit more time to be strong. As first item for Caitlyn versus Ziggs. I'm just going to favor the burst of Ziggs. You can really take Caitlyn out of the game right now. Again, I think the best news for Dorado so far is that Caitlyn is at least up in gold and able to play the game. But the Nefiri, Nautilus, yep.
Oh, they got the connection. That 90 caliber net will be 90 caliber dead. Cody Sun gets his first kill, and now Low Jazz and Redemption trying to make it out. He goes through the magical journey just in the nick of time. That will be full control from Conviction. They're going to move in to try to steal away more of Low Jazz's belongings.
And look, Hub is flashless, Psycho wasn't. And that's kind of the reality of what we're going to be seeing this game. As Nautilus R and the Ziggs R is a guaranteed play. They're going to look to use on Caitlyn. Redemption not quite in time to use the Tempered Fate to play defense, which is the interaction that he might look for. That's aggressive.
Nice satchel charge to get away. Now Tomio looking for it. He wants the resets, not able to find it. Does buffer out of that Scout of the Week, and really nicely done from Dorado to at least make it out with their lives.
I think given the depth charge was still up, wasn't actually used in that last play, that was very aggressive from Dorado. I think you really got to respect that cooldown still exists.
Ooh, they're hunting.
They didn't find blood, but they did find a lot of damage on the Atom, who likely has to reset down to TP now. The fact that they're still playing these waves.
Oh, Redemption steps up just a little bit too far. He has to flash away. Cody Sun looking for the fun satchel charge Q combo that I always love. The thing I'm looking at right now, though, the resources for Dorado, it feels like they could fight. They have the hot pot combo. They have all this and that, but they can't stick it, and now that'll be another topside neutral objective to Conviction.
It might have the ults, but didn't have the health bars. They lost the last 2 trades against Conviction. Good plays from them to secure this one, and that 3-grub team going to lock down Shelly. So, see if Tomio wants to use the Battle Shelly, or if he's going to use this maybe around this Dragon. Could clear out mid-out or 2. As 2 plates, would expect a 3-grub Shelly to be able to knock that one down.
Ooh, Sniper. A little uptick in damage there with the Trinity Force. Gonna force Decoy away from his side of the map. We will see a lot of movement down bot side. Redemption trying to get the double Cosmic Binding. Does get the stun. The Scout of the Week coming through, but they don't have enough damage yet. Insanity's starting to get tanky with that row completing. And now Sniper comes in. He's already got half his Meganar bar, and Tomio's got him surrounded. It feels like they truly are one with the pack, and Redemption falls.
I don't mind the initial look onto Insanity. I just think that Redemption needs to play out with his team below, or they need to walk through the TP. Not the case there. Decoy doesn't have ult to respond, and I do really like kind of something small we've seen from Sniper. Last 2 Dragons that have spawned, Equalizer's been down. And it's been how Sniper's been playing and trading the top side. Equalizer's been forced to kind of create even trades for the Rumble. And that's been advantage Conviction as a really big tool that Dorado needs to combo. And then off that sequence in that play that was started by Dorado looking bot, 2 outer turrets being secured by Conviction is significant.
Does he just get ran down here?
Lethal
I mean,
Temple
he's got
Nar.
Megadar has to flash out, and that'll be something to return to later on. Dragon is up. Oh, he even throws up the fist bump. Insanity already knew it the second he went out of the bush, and that's a sneaky snake right there. Insanity going up to 4 kills in the game, and all the Dragon Prio, all that pressure that Dorado was trying to relieve on the bot side, is just going to come at them tenfold. Tomio gets another kill, and Lojaz sacrifices himself as well. Conviction are running away with this game 1.
Yeah, I don't think that Lojaz needed to kind of go in there on his own, but man, everything just kind of falling apart here. Yeah, well, yeah, really. Down with the ship. Everything just kind of fell apart in the last couple minutes. I think that Dorado, again, like the biggest perk that I saw from them so far in this game was the fact that Hub was getting access to waves and farm. This could have been a Dragon that they could have accepted as a give and try to get more access to get Hub resources. I think the heads up engages are some of the plays that we've seen here from Dorado. A, they haven't been together, but B, I also just think that Conviction's the stronger team right now. Just looking at the power window or the gap between the Ziggs and the Caitlyn.
Oh, he doesn't have flash. I literally said this 2 minutes ago. He's going to get returned to and instantaneously punished. Insanity goes on a rampage as Cody Sun looking to get out of that one. Tempered Fate going to go wide. Redemption left wanting.
And Conviction just gets to shift his power back up top. Sniper can fix bot if he wants, but he's TP-less, so has a choice whether he wants to do that or play with the team. As Conviction just cannot be slowed down right now. They've got control. I do think that Zyko's had some really nice takes as a part of this mid-game, too. I know that Insanity's gotten big, but seeing the punish on the Hub, the answer on the play bot, that really started to get things going. Had a good game for Zyko and for Conviction.
Yeah.
And now with this lead, it's so tough when you get control of the map as Ziggs Casio to walk into that. And Dorado have ways to check, but don't really have ways to tank. And that's going to be, I think, their next struggle coming in. And I think the missing element, again, for Dorado, like, one of the quieter parts of this game, I really feel like Decoy not getting involved in these plays has been big. We really set up the opportunities to Wombo off of Jarvan, Bard, Rumble, Syndra. And the Rumble just not being in the equation, I think, has really opened up for these immobile mages to step up and carry the way that they have so far for Conviction.
And I'm not gonna lie, gotta dig in the item prio here. We got the Banshee's Veil already complete for Cody Sun, the Scatter the Weeks, the Ace of the Holes. Can't touch them, and then you're already on 3 items for Insanity, having completed that book, and he's going to the library. Already 7 books checked out for him at least.
Psycho was
and now
spotted.
it's Conviction pushing into the base.
Okay.
Ooh.
Not a good enough engage here, Mazel. I think Baron's going to go down over to Conviction. They find the Smite. They find the Secure. Dorado's got nothing left to play. As the exit in the mid lane, all they're going to be able to get. Redemption falls in the back half, too. Insanity finds him trying to reset. And it feels like this game for Dorado, I mean, it's gotten out of control fast, but the way that Conviction's been able to push this one forward has been unlike really anything that we've seen from this team. They looked good against Cupid, but not this good as they fell 0-2. But no chance for Dorado to get into this game, as once Conviction took control, there was no looking back. All right, folks. We're going to get Mazel back with us soon. Oh, we got Mazel back with us soon on command. Look at that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the matchup that we kind of looked at going into the series was jungle. It said that felt like Tomio and Lojaz were outperformed by their counterparts in the last series. They each played respectively. I know that we were giving Zyko a lot of deserved kudos for how he made some of these plays happen or set up the map, but a couple of takes from Lojaz, as much as I think the defense was good to get Hub out after that second Dragon. I think since then, the takes haven't been quite as good. And the dyssynergy we feared with a team incorporating a support that they haven't seen for 5 to 6 weeks on the squad and not practiced with in a playoffs match against a team like Conviction, definitely felt like that was an issue in Game 1. As Hub goes down, he's 0-3. And the push continues here for Conviction. Weren't able to see Dorado really, I think, set up a lot of the combos that they needed or were looking for to win this game. As Conviction, no signs of slowing down. The 3 grubs, Zig Siege is on. 2 inhibitors fall. Sniper's Mega. I think that's an opportunity to turn. Tomio does get played upon. Scatter lands. Cataclysm from Lojaz connects. As at least Dorado going to use this to stall out. But, oh, a massive petrifying gaze from Insanity finds 2. Decoy goes golden. But Insanity's going to find the rest as he goes legendary. Now a 3v3. I don't think Conviction has enough gas in the tank to finish up, even though the Nexus towers are down. Conviction going to at least wait for Sniper to TP back. Decoy did TP behind. A Harpoon lands. Push coming in. Insanity scattered. Sniper TP's back with his shield, and here we go. A lot of resources used to try and end that game. We're still here, Mazel. I don't think the result of it's going to change. Dorado will have some free time to kill double super creeps as they give up this dragon. Will help get them a few more resources, ones that they are lacking as their jungle is being pillaged. And Conviction can probably group up bot and try and end the game there.
I think they're not even going to need the soul either. I mean, this lead from the mid lane has just burst open the entire game, it feels like, and you could feel it bubbling up a little bit. Like, Insanity is feeling himself today with some of those side steps and things we were seeing earlier into the game, and I think that is very terrifying if you're a Dorado Gaming fan right now, especially as the series moves forward in this best-of-5 format. You've got to find something to hold on to, and it won't be any of these champions that you're picking out right now, as potentially the finality of Dorado in game number 1 as we see it. Nice disengage there for now, but now Conviction going to move forward. The double Cataclysm, but it's not going to be enough to save the day, and resets have come for Conviction. They find a double kill going through as well for Insanity, who is just racking up the KDA at this point. Decoy, one of the only ones left standing here. Adam's on the other side too. Decoy actually doing a really good job of defending here. He burns down. Tomio takes him out. A little bit of cold surf justice there in the end, but Sniper has been the one finishing the game, and that'll be 1-0 for Conviction.
Sniper, you know, he saw enough of Decoy in the lane phase. He was done. He wasn't going to be distracted by Decoy's decoy at the end to wrap things up. As Conviction, really solid game 1 from them. Love to see Sniper in I think a throwback jersey maybe for him, as he's all smiles wrapping up that game. Again, I think one of the smaller parts that played a big role in that game was some of the trades that Sniper had. Again, getting Equalizer out before these big objectives came in. I think that took a really significant tool away from Dorado in hopes of playing some of these objectives. And once the train got rolling, no slowing down there. I think Dorado did help kind of start their own demise with an overreach bot. But have to give a lot of kudos over to Conviction for how they played that one out. Like Zyko specifically was really on point that game. And, oh, when your mid goes legendary, that doesn't hurt either.
It doesn't hurt. A lot of focus in that mid lane early on. We saw the 3v3 develop, and then they transitioned that into a 4v4 in the jungle as well. So really good play calls from Conviction. Again, it feels like a little bit of a return to form for them in a lot of ways, because this is the kind of way that they were dominating games if we look back to spring and look at this mid-jungle duo. But again, I really like the shout from being able to see this roaming Zyko, who has always been a terror to the NACL, it feels like.
Yeah, one, though, that we haven't seen as much with Conviction. So happy to see the appearance here as Conviction get the best 5 started 1-0. Of course, they're going to need to run the lower bracket if they want to try and repeat, try and earn their spot to compete for the LCS slot. So long way to go, but a good start for them.
Start of our first best of 5, going Conviction's way. We'll see if Dorado can pull it back. We're going to send it off to a little break, and we'll be back with game number 2.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco OneBlade.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco OneBlade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco OneBlade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco OneBlade 360.
I think last split was not really accurate of what we're capable of because we just started scrimming right before NACL started, so we didn't have much time to prepare. And after having like a full split to practice together, we're a lot better as a team, and I think we're starting to show what we're capable of in the split.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco One Blade.
Welcome back, everyone, to ACL here, presented by Philips Norelco One Blade, and I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby, and what a game number one. It wasn't quite the fisticuffs that we were expecting, but Conviction back in form here in the lower bracket. Both teams' lives on the line, Cubby.
Conviction won game one with conviction. There's not much else to say.
You just had to.
They were rather dominant.
Gut jab in there.
They were rather dominant in game one, so see if Dorado can get into the series, as just feel like a lot of the plays they attempted didn't hit. And do want to give kudos to Conviction on a couple of the rotations that they had. I thought they played around the grubs really well. And I thought that the play where they turned around Dorado's bot dive attempt-ish, and that's where you start to see the spike in the gold graph. I appreciate how Conviction played around that. I feel like Zyko had some really good moves. And Conviction as a team had some good calls that helped that be a rather convincing game one victory.
For me, it was the decisiveness. I think that's something we got to see when we were kind of watching back through the replays in the break, but it's the lack of hesitance of finding those engages. Zyko always trying to go for those results. Even the ones that he was missing and hitting into a wall and putting himself in a weird position, it was the willingness to go in, the willingness to engage. And I think that's some of the hesitancy that we saw from Dorado. So hopefully they can shake that out here and figure out how they get this communication online, because Conviction do seem like they are ready and raring to go to make this lower bracket run.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just the difference from spring, right? They just had to lose once before they woke up. Feel truly woken up and online, at least in that game one. Again, Dorado, Redemption being in, said beforehand that they were not able to scrim with Redemption. So the synergy they built up throughout the last 5-6 weeks, not there with Redemption, even though spring, him being there, it did help this team at least miss on the promotion relegation tournament for NACL. The expectation that Dorado had was that they were going to be in that tournament, and they played much better than that throughout the split, but can't really count beating expectations when it comes to the end of the year. It's always nice to take a little bit of solace in that, but it's about wins and losses and trying to compete for that LCS slot now that we're in playoffs, now that we're in the lower brackets. So going to need to see a little bit more from Dorado if they want to do that in game two, but at least swapping over to first pick, and I think taking the Ezreal here for Hub, comfort for him, and a pick that's been very dominant just globally, really. Yeah.
And I've just really appreciated Hub's Ezreal. I think some of the brightest moments we've seen from Dorado over this last year have been Hub's Ezreal. So he'll be a little bit safe down there, but something that is going to change from that game number one, and this might be terrifying, is Dorado did ban away the Lucian in game one. We have seen Cody Sun really willing to go with this when he feels like he has the better mechanics and that he can smash down on the 2v2, and he's going to lock in that Lucian now. It's going to be Emilio alongside it, the classic duo.
So the curious thing for me is that they took the Karma out themselves. Usually, as Karma is something that can push around Lucian Emilio, and you hope that you push it around hard enough early where it doesn't get you in the mid game. What are they going to take in a Lucian Emilio now, though, with no Nautilus, no Vi? Is it going to be a Redemption Nico? This was his most played in spring.
It was.
We have not seen Nico in a while, but it's a Redemption special that he's going to pull back out, and I think this really locks Dorado into needing to play fast this game.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to rely on Ezreal alone, at least. They're going to need something to up that tempo, and I don't think Ezreal's going to be that, at least. But they are going with more scaling options, more safe options. The Victor locked in.
A couple of big mages out of the pool should help Victor a bit. We do see Orianna still found her way here in draft, but I think something that Insanity's maybe not going to want to look to handshake
Insanity,
this
Yuumi
game.
mid, that's what I really want. That's
I think,
what the
Ari
world
could
needs.
be quite good. I know Ari into Victor isn't the best 1v1, but oh boy,
Goodbye.
It's an insanity classic.
Yep, and the Kog'Maw comes through for Insanity. He was the one that pulled this out. It felt like last split. Oh, look at Adam. He is cheesing. Has he been working towards something to deal with this? I'm sure these couple bans are probably going to go towards the mid lane for Conviction.
Well, no, I think both mid laners are showing here, my friend. We've got Victor versus Kog'Maw mid. It's about taking away some junglers and pairings. I wasn't expecting to see the Kog'Maw again, but
no,
I
don't
guess
think so.
I mean, Milio can help with the W in the Dusk and Dawn. The only reason I'm not surprised is because it's Insanity. But I think Conviction now needs
the most damage in any game last split with this pick, didn't he?
Oh yeah, no, it was freakish.
It was ridiculous.
Conviction needs Engage. I really felt like with Lucian Milio, like kind of having Insanity play that role player might have been what they needed, or that's why I was looking at the Ari, a little bit of mobility, play around the Nico and have ways to attack the Victor. With Kog'Maw now, yeah, we need utility for Conviction on the top side. This is it's going to be about taking something tanky and making space.
Oh,
I think
Wukong the Vayne.
I think Wukong Olaf bans might point towards a Tomio Skarner. These are the games where I really like Skarner. Just having that big meatball in the front line and utilizing all the utility that his kit can bring.
Yeah, I mean, bringing 3 people with an Impale into a Culling / a AP Kog'Maw is going to feel real good. As Dorado were hyper-focusing the top lane bans, they did get the Vayne and the Aatrox out of there. As you had already mentioned, the Olaf and the Wukong. We'll see what Conviction are willing to go with here. Top and jungle still available. They will have the counter pick.
Okay, it's going to be Xin Zhao.
An oldie but a goodie.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. A lot of junglers now taken out of the pool for Lojaz. I think, we talk about Dorado mid-game, and definitely give Lojaz kudos for his Pantheon, which has been first banned by Conviction both games so far this series. I think it really speaks to the read they have on this team and Lojaz, the fact that the triple jungle deny into jungle bans into Xin Zhao pick up. It's going to lead to a Renekton, and Lojaz is chuckling about something. I wonder what the team's trying to talk him into here.
Nidalee. Get the Renekton Nidalee combo, but in the top and jungle. We'll see what Lojaz wants to go here. I do feel like he needs something that can at least skirmish with Tomio, because if you let Tomio have control of the jungle, that's what we saw in game number 1. The Kiana coming through here. 3rd pick of the split. And at least it's 1-1 now. We'll see what it is after Lojaz has his hands on it. And that makes a lot of the pressure go towards that jungle for Dorado. The final pick being the Cassante for Conviction.
So when I saw the Nico, felt like Dorado was kind of locked into playing fast. Renekton Kiana definitely leans towards that. As the scaling I'm going to give over to Conviction. But if Redemption and Lojaz can do a better job syncing up this time around, Dorado does have some tools early they can use to hopefully, in their case, push Conviction around the map. But we've seen Kiana's, if you don't get the game rolling, you really slow down. And I think the ease of a Cassante and a Xin Zhao for dealing with you later on, it's really going to have to be Lojaz kind of hiding and following up on Redemption's combos. And we'll see if the Nico for Redemption can kind of reach back into spring and maybe find some of that old synergy and magic that Dorado had. As this was Redemption's most played by a long shot last split.
A good time when they locked it in, but that is like their primary engage at this point. You have the super display of talent, all good and well, but the lack of forward engage is going to be something that maybe comes back to haunt Dorado. I love that we're seeing Insanity dip into his pocket here. The Kog'Maw coming out once again. Conviction having a domineering game number 1 of this best of 5. And we have to see if Dorado has the zeal to put up a fight. Game 2 of our first best of 5. The NACL Summer Playoffs starts now.
Ooh, Ghost for Adam too. That is... So already playing down a TP here.
There's a doggy in the bush. Oh,
Yeah.
Tomio's coming over too. Oh, Adam, you got to find a way out. He's going to pop the ghost at least, but that summoner spell you just highlighted is out of the game for now. Tomio will be spotted out. Lojaz, he's being a little sneaky devil. The chickens have spawned. Lojaz, he's not getting anything right now. He's going to try to go around and get the distance over here. Uses the blast cone. Tomio has no idea. He's going to wait. He's going to smite it away.
Nice.
Is he going to get it just from the fog?
He's going to get
waiting.
it.
He's wanting. He takes it. Lojaz is going to get the first camp. And now Tomio forced to back away instantly as Lojaz has that level 2 now. He wants to kind of continue the fight. They are keeping pressure in the jungle, and that's exactly what Dorado wanted.
What a cheeky start coming out for both Insanity and Lojaz, as Lojaz being able to sneak in here.
I think this might be...
It's going to be contested. Lojaz should be fine, though, as long as Lucian doesn't come over, and Redemption's going to come over and help. So this actually, yeah, I think I can put a little bit more down on Zyke. It's just going to be about tearing the small ones. And the response from Tomio has been to go over to Lojaz's red buff side of the map and answer there. But I think the pressure early on is nice, and honestly, if Decoy gets this wave in, like, there is an opportunity for him to kind of go flush out the Xin Zhao if he wants to.
Yeah. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble there, and Tomio's already making some quick work of the jungle here as Lojaz still finishing off Tomio's side of the red buff. He will be a little bit ahead. Do wonder where he wants to go as they are potentially setting up a dive on the bot side. We'll be under vision here, and the healing from that cozy little campfire going to do wonders for Cody's son as he sidesteps Redemption there. Really nicely done. Able to get away for now, but the dive is not going to be there. Lojaz goes back to his side of the jungle, and we'll just get some vertical jungling going on in game 2.
All right, so it's Tomio just behind the curve a little bit. Lojaz using that unique start. That's
is he though? Is he? If he gets a kill, is he really behind the curve? Because Decoy just stepped up, and now he will be spotted out. He'll back off.
Yeah, Decoy was no dash. I'm kind of surprised that Decoy didn't go for a crash to try and push Tomio around at some point. Instead, kind of Sniper's keeping that wave at least in front of him in that turret.
Bot lane 2v2. Oh, they actually have the distance there. The exhaust comes through. It is panic on the bot side of Dorado for now. They do back away. Nice little tangle barb there from Redemption 2.
All right, not bad. Eviction's bot lane getting in, but again, I think that Lojaz probably needs to find a way to put... Yeah, he needs to go contest these respawn wraps.
Oh, Tomio knows,
he's got
though.
a level,
Tomio
he's
knows.
got both buffs. This doesn't matter.
Wait around the corner.
Unless Insanity's here.
He wants the exhaust. He wants the damage. He's going to go for the flash. The 3-talent strike. Lojaz flashing away as well. He's barely out alive now. Adam is overextended to try to save his jungler. He's going to try to run over now, too. The gravity field stomping Tomio in his tracks, but a really nicely laid trap by Conviction's jungler.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of surprised at how much damage Tomio was able to get down against Lojaz, just being down a level. Thought, just given strength of Kiana,
Mega
should
fire
be okay
kick connects.
early.
They actually look at Insanity, my dude! He's flashing forward on Adam, and easy first blood again for Insanity, 2 games in a row!
Man, and again, the fear we had in this series for Dorado was that Conviction individually, yes, this team has had struggles.
This is why you got to be scared of the Lucian. Hub has no answer. Conviction has all of them. Might as well get that going for Conviction. A 2-kill lead, 4.5 minutes in.
And individually, the Might of Conviction, so far just looks to be too much for Dorado. It's a bot lane win. I really like the solution that Tomio had to at least find something to get himself back into the jungle matchup. Insanity finds the play mid. Zyko even getting a roam off as the Milio versus the Nico and being more effective. And then Sniper, at this breakpoint in the matchup, he's fine. I think he's up on expectation just with how I view this matchup. So, again, Conviction, in spite of the struggles that they have had, this split being the 8th seed coming from playoffs, their early games were still decent.
Yeah.
I mean, they averaged being up over 1,000 gold to 15 in the regular season, which I feel like makes their 1-4 series record all that much more abysmal. But it is what it is. They struggled in the early game against Cupid, but again, we thought that was a well-played series against a good team from both sides. And we're really feeling that much more from Conviction today with how they're playing.
And I'm not going to lie. The confidence is oozing out of Conviction. That is 2 kills, and not even think about game number 1, where both the carries, Cody Sutton and Insanity, were stepping past their opponent, knowing they had the kill before their opponent even realized the attacks were coming. And this is 2 kills already presented where Cody Sutton and Insanity are walking past their lane opponent because they know they can register the kill through. And I think that's the confidence that is needed for a team that wants to make a run like Conviction are setting themselves up for. And if they get another solo kill over here, it's insane!
Oh,
it's not just Insanity, it's not just Cody Sun. Go ahead and throw Sniper in there too.
Well, I think this is why we kind of give Conviction breaks as a team. It's the three-peat from Tomio Insanity, and it's the fact that when, you know, push comes to shove, this team does tend to do stuff like this, which is, they haven't been dominating.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Oh my god, just dominating.
He just joins
Oh
the
my
team.
God.
The only one left that hasn't died is Redemption.
I was going to say that they haven't been dominating as a team. It's been individual domination that's led to team domination, but it has been nice to see Zyko at least with a couple of these walks. I think Zyko has been superb so far today, but
So happy he's
just
back in the league, man.
Conviction as a team, kind of why we were frustrated about how things went to kick things off in the regular season. Just this
They
is
had to change it up, Cubby. All right, they can't just go through the upper bracket just like they did last, but they have to give us a different story.
I guess they have to cut it closer to the edge. Is
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Sometimes
Yeah.
you just have to fill the drama. All right, if there's not drama in the room, you got to create it, and that's what makes good storytelling, is it? This is a little bit tough position for Dorado to be in. Obviously, it's still best of 5, and we've seen reverse sweeps, although not as often, it feels like, in recency for League of Legends. But about 30 seconds out, we have the Grubs spawning. We still have the Dragon up. How does Conviction continue to push the pace of this game, Cubby?
All they have to do right now is click forward and win.
Easy does it.
I think the only
if only you
person that
could use the W key.
Yeah, I think the only person that can really stop Sin Zhao. We've seen Tomio just burst Lojaz the last 2 fights. That's not supposed to happen in this matchup. Kiana's got to be a little bit more slippery, but that is where the free talent strike can be quite nice. We was talking about it in terms of dealing with Kiana later on in the game. We've already seen Tomio using that to deal with Kiana now. I feel like the answer for
They're going to walk into Lojaz. Go straight onto Cody Sun. Instant breath of life from Zyko. And that breath of life is just enough to get Dorado on the back foot. Lojaz almost dying. Cody Sun has his flash. He could be looking for the star play. Decoy is there. Adam almost dead in the pit. Has to flash away from the Bio-Arcane Barrage. As now it's just going to be more damage going down. Hub can't stick it in the pit either. The Grub did end up getting taken at least by Adam, but 2 will go to Conviction.
I mean, 2 plays attempted by Dorado, both easily turned by Conviction. And I just think that Dorado, really felt like kind of the story of game 1 was they didn't get into the game. I don't think that they used their combo well enough, and we were giving Sniper kudos at kind of forcing Decoy to play off-tempo at times, I think, with the rest of the team. This game, it's just about Conviction as individuals straight up being better. Just top to bottom. I don't want to take away from how they've moved as a team, but you look at how Conviction's played this game, it's just all 5 members have outperformed their counterparts.
And it's been individual and with some of the combinations on the team itself, as we saw in front of the Dragon Pit. So it's a tough position to be in, but it's not one that you can just kind of back down for Dorado. Because we talked about the way their comp wants to work, especially through Lojaz and Decoy. You want to be involved. You want to have skirmishes. You want to try to get a little bit of snowball going. You can't just rely on Hub and Adam scaling to infinity to get you out of this rut.
I mean, they have the scaling, Mazel, but this is where I think the playmaking comes in for me. Because it's got to be on Redemption to find these plays on the Nico, but we haven't seen Redemption get out of lane.
Hasn't been able to adjust yet. He's still the only one that's unkilled. Maybe there's a little bit of a bounty on his head, unintended. But there is the 2,000 gold lead to think about for Conviction here moving forward and how they can kind of dictate the map. Dragons have not even been a priority for them. They want to go for more kills. They want to go for more of these sets plays for themselves. And you can see some pings going down to the bot lane 2v2 already.
Tomio's making his way down there. I really like the choice Tomio's making. He's going to go for Titanic Hydra first on Xin Zhao. Saw Sundered Sky see more changes this patch, but getting that fast 3 Talon strike off, which you can do with that Titanic auto attack reset interaction, really powerful against a champion like Kiana that is so slippery, or even like Nico that's going to look to W away. So really like the choice from Tomio this game. Didn't quite find it for Sniper. He's looking for the bump over the wall. Didn't get the all out to take decoy out away from the tower. Yeah.
As the gauntlet completed. We actually got the static shiv also completed for Insanity. So we're starting to get these first items. The Umbral Glaive there for Lojaz. A little bit of recompense for Dorado. Decoy taking another little scuffle into Sniper, but look at the bot lane scuffle. We are setting up for a 4v4 cubby, and I don't know if Dorado want that smoke, as they're going to get the 3 Talon strike to the face. Adam just getting hit. The living artillery is actually not going to connect there, but Adam going to get culled into the back. He's still alive for now, but he doesn't really have an exit strategy. Insanity comes over, Bio Arcane Barrage to the dome, and Lojaz barely makes it out with a supreme display of talent. Conviction, step forward, step in, and now go for the dragon. Yo, Insanity! Okay, Lojaz, I see you. Insanity taking a little bit of a disrespectful path there in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's going to actually stop the dragon. That and the health bars being low. Good find there by Lojaz, and very disrespectful from Insanity. He gets picked off, and... Well, Mazel might have another set of plays before we actually see that objective. I'm just curious to see, again, if... I think if Tomio can find... and engage on the right target. I like that he found Adam there, but Adam was able to create enough space to get out. Adam will have flash, I think, the next time these teams... Does that end up changing the target? And if the Titanic Hydra ends up being completed for Tomio, maybe, on a reset, you know, is that initial knockup going to be enough and going to be able to be followed up upon, where it's big and Dorado don't really get in the fights? Because I feel like that's how the game should go at this point, is the conviction being big enough where... when Tomio decides to go in, the entrances to the fight are good enough that Dorado then don't really get to play out the fight.
You're starting to see some of the poke and prod that Insanity has with the static shiv completed, but also more so on this Kog'Maw. Still finding ways to be impactful in the draft here, as we always know and love from Insanity. And now they're just going to be taking down turrets in the side lane, trying to get some of these plate gold going over to Kog'Maw. He's actually waiting. He actually has a play. He can take down Adam. Adam's just losing his health bar, living artillery from the skies, and Insanity gets the kill.
Well, we were surprised to see the Kog'Maw. Am I surprised to see Insanity's Kog'Maw doing well? No.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not either.
I mean, we kind of set this up. Like, the pools for both mids coming in was very different. And we tease, you know, while Insanity's been playing the stock standard control mages, we know that Insanity has the champion Ocean.
Don't make him get his bag out, bro.
Oh, yeah, no! He got the bag out.
It's going to be another one.
Boy.
This time, another solo bolo. Throws up the cat emotes there, too. That's 4 kills for Insanity. Now he's up individually almost 2,000 gold.
Whew. Well,
dude, can we just praise on this guy, Insanity, man? Yes, Decoy's gonna die. I'm not gonna lie. I think this game might be just about Jover. Insanity, man. Not only going through the out of game things recently for him. A shout out to him for being strong and continuing to play through all of that, but also for him on the Rift. This has been a guy, when he's in tier 2, he's at the top. It doesn't matter when, doesn't matter what team, he is always gunning for the top. It's through his creativeness, but also the way that he tries to lead teams. The voice that he has for teams, I think, is so important to highlight. And I just can't stop praising this guy because he is so incredible in and out of game. As we see a little bit of zealous play from Redemption, gets him killed. Insanity's finally going to go down, but he might just get a kill back with the passive here. The flash comes out from Adam, gets him away, and I know we just caster cursed him, but continuing to hard praise on Insanity is going to be the name of the game right now. Zyko dies to Adam.
All right, well, that was ugly at the end for Zyko, but I think praise for Insanity. Still deserved. Adam going to be found. Tomio behind him as well, so ends up going over the hands of Tomio, but I've actually appreciated that from Insanity. I know that Perry didn't stick with the team long term, but Know those two played again when Perry actually first got started.
Yeah.
As stepping in the Dignitas when the River trade went down over to... that was a really big LCS event back in the day. Had a big shift, but that's when Perry first stepped in. I know Insanity was like, there was a pretty unfortunate game they lost. I think that Insanity DCing definitely played a part in that.
Yep.
He's like, I don't really care about that. I want to focus on that. I want to focus on if it is Perry. I feel like we have a good chance moving forward. And I guess we're really caster cursing Insanity because he just died off stream.
Maybe we need to stop talking about Insanity here, as he did die to a solo kill to Decoy. That is still a Renekton, and you are still a squishy carry.
That's an oopsie. I'm curious what happened there, because I don't see Flash used by Decoy. I'm gonna assume he just laid a trap in a brush, and Insanity walked right into it.
Good old top lane diff.
That's nice, but no, I have really appreciated that from Insanity, and again, I think been the pro where a lot of people have looked at mids taken in the LCS, or have looking at mids like Palafox, and I think the answer to that is like, it's either why not Toasty or why not Insanity. And I think that Insanity has had really good arguments for himself still playing in LCS.
Oh, Redemption. Going for the redeeming play, but Sniper comes in and stops them in their tracks. Now the Titanic Hydra coming into work as Living Artillery coming down from the skies again. Insanity going to combine and get the kill there onto Redemption, who finally falls again. Decoy misses the slice and dice over the wall, has to flash. Wondering if anybody was going to follow him through. That will not be the case. Rift Herald in the eyes of the Beholder, and that Beholder is Conviction.
Again?
Oh no. Go save your carry! Save him! There's not going to be a solo kill this time around, Decoy.
Good chunk. Can they do anything with said chunk? I think Decoy is going to try and keep him up there. We'll see if Dragon gets taken, but it's been so late for either team to take Dragon that I think neither team is really feeling all that pressure to take one. As the Chemtech Dragon's feeling extra lonely this game, sitting there for 17 minutes.
Who needs Dragons? Actually, Dorado doing a pretty good job of chunking back some of this lead. They were down about almost 4,000 gold, now just about 2,000. Some nice moves from Low Jazz in the bot side jungle here. They are moving again. Rift Herald playing the mid lane. It's not going to be the Battle Herald. They were thinking about picking off Insanity, who's trying to catch that wave low in the bot lane.
I mean, with all the action continuing, Marcel, it still is Conviction pushing forward, and it's gotten to the point too where I think that coming into the day again, this for me is kind of matchup nightmare for Dorado. I think one of the biggest issues for
not even I mean, kind of. He's like super far away from him.
He waited for the E.
Yeah,
but he waited for the E. He's waiting in the brush. The slow goes down, and they can catch up from there. So well played from Decoy as we get another skirmish, but. Think of just how many times in sports, Mazel, or in other eras of League, where the young upstart team still has to get through the team with pedigree, or the team that's been there. Like throw out the seeding. I mean, I can go back, like Chovy trying to take down Faker. That took a while.
Yeah.
It did.
It did.
Trying to dethrone dynasties in the NBA, when teams don't get broken up, you have to sometimes go in there and beat them before they actually get broken up. It does really feel like, I mean, you can categorize this as Dorado is that young team that's playing together as five that has been beating out their expectations for the year.
Yeah, they have.
Do we actually expect them to take down a team like Conviction? I think that was a question we had coming into the day, and one where so far the answer that Conviction has for us is a resounding no.
And I think we have to harken back to the interview with Miliana, but also just the mentality of Dorado moving forward from this is, yes, not being in relegation and split number one was a huge success for the team, right? Being able to slink on through, that's huge, right? And trying to build off that, we have seen the tangible building blocks of this team improving incrementally, especially in the early game. And any wins from here on out, I feel like, is something to be really proud of. And it is something that Dorado are facing with right now with a team that's so difficult that it feels like, at least right now, they can't find a way through. And they're going to need to find that here quickly as the double flash. Tovio try to escape or try to predict. We'll leave that one for you to find out, as Sniper is the main focus now. True Shot Barrage came across. Still a little bit of an advantage for Conviction, but both junglers are down. And Dorado putting up a bit of a fight as they're starting to get some items online. Oh, Insanity's dead. He doesn't have any mana. He's going to try to kite a little bit. Or Arcane Barrage doing work here, just kills him! Oh my god, Insanity, there's no way this actually happens. 1v3, he's got mana back now, he's looking for it, doesn't have enough damage now, and that will be the lockdown that comes through. Adam gets the kill, will be able to survive the passive, but wonderful stuff from Insanity to even buy one back. Okay, well, he's almost on 3 items now, so that's going to be a nice spike for him. Not much of an individual lead so far for him, but I'm sure that will change as shortly as we can. 21 minutes in, still no dragon. Some pings coming down that way, and Lojaz taking away some of the vision. He's going to walk straight into the bush. Lojaz has no saving grace. Cody Sun guns him down. And the setup now onto Hub is a little bit scary. Cody Sun doesn't even have 2 items yet, but that Essence Reaver does massive damage. TP coming. No way. They're just going to start the Baron. They have the damage. They have a couple items. I mean, Insanity's on 2.5 items, almost 3 items now. They're going to force the hand of Dorado. Hub going to throw out the scouting True Shot Barrage, but it's going to be Cody Sun who found the damage onto Redemption. Insanity gets the living artillery on top of him as well. Conviction moving as 5, convincing us that they have all they need to take down Dorado 1 by 1. A double kill comes through for Insanity. Hub tries to go for the star play, but gets taken down anyways. The bird, the living artillery, the flash from Psycho. He doesn't have the damage. It's going to be a kill back to Insanity, who's going to be taken down by Decoy. It is chaos here, but the Baron should go over to Conviction. Lojaz on the back end, but I don't think he can find a way in. About 8,000 health down. I don't think Conviction should do this. I think they need to back away. Sniper was looking for the angle on the Lojaz just to stop him from going in. They're going to lose so many members here trying to take down the Baron. Sniper goes all out. They just got to finish the job. Tomio finally gets it, and Conviction lose 3, but they get the Baron buff. As we get back into it now, it's Dorado who, while the dust settles, have to deal with 2 Baroned up players for Conviction and potentially a little bit more of that side lane pressure coming their way. Scary part is that Storm Surge has been completed for Insanity, so he's got even more of that burst damage packed in. Tomio going to move in here, spot out Decoy. The rest of Dorado going to move out into the bot side, try to get some of this vision control here. But the Barons are going to be important to use for Conviction and how they move that around the map. One big thing we really loved from game 1 was the macro from Conviction and how they kind of pulled apart the map against Dorado.
Yeah, now we're in a game where just neither team's taking a dragon, you know? It's
They were thinking about it, all right? And then you know, things happen. All right.
A bit of a tale of 2 tides. Yeah, bit of a tale of 2 tides here when it comes to the macro. But with Baron up and really no pressure to play for the Dragon Soul, Conviction just going to stick to the lanes as Sniper fixing bot does have TP in case the fight breaks out, and Dorado is trying their best to stall however they can.
Oh man, that Arcane Barrage doing so much damage. It's not even the long distance living artillery. Redemption about half health here. Hub again, he can't clear these waves fast. You don't have wave clear really besides this Victor. Trying to get that out here. TP potentially coming back in. Decoy, this is maybe the saving grace. Can Dorado do it? They've got them pinned. They have no support coming. TP is available from Sniper. That's the Dominus pop. Decoy pops it preemptively to try to get this rage bar going. He goes in on Tomio, looking for backline access, but now he has to run away. The living artillery is there, and the TP has come in from Sniper. They're just cutting him down one by little one. He's looking for more there as well as Lojaz trying to play the push. He's going to try to find the exit. Tomio gets the 3-talent strike, and Tomio gets the kill there anyways. Conviction going to continue moving with their singular Baron buff in the bot lane. They still have it on Tomio too, and he's going to go mid lane. Double Baroned up minion waves pushing in to mid and bot. Insanity is about to kill Adam. Doesn't hit the living artillery, but he's about to kill Hub too. You just cannot approach this fight, and Insanity is making that so.
Not going to wrap it up on this push, but throughout the first 2 games of this series, Mazel, it really has been the same story, which is Conviction. Once the ball gets rolling, no signs of slowing down. And this Dorado team that we know is trying to incorporate Redemption from Spring as someone that they didn't exactly practice with, according to the interview beforehand to prep for this week. it doesn't feel like the same Dorado that we saw in the regular season. And honestly, that's it's a bit of a bummer. I think that if they were to wrap up in the same placement as spring after going, a potential 0-5 in playoffs, it wouldn't exactly be indicative of what we saw from them in regular season. They're taking it.
I completely agree. 26 minutes in, Dragon is no longer lonely. Oh, it feels like a breath of fresh air. First Dragon goes over to Conviction. But as you were saying, I think that is what breaks my heart the most. And it's, again, these expectations are coming off of, I love seeing these miracle runs. I love seeing these nitty-gritty teams make runs. But you're coming up against Conviction, a Conviction that's realigned their arms, their weapons, if you will, and are looking to repeat a little bit of what they did in split number 1. And I think that's such a tough task for Dorado to come up against. But to that promo, you have to beat everybody. You have to be one of the top 2 teams. And for Dorado, I think we have seen that tangible growth I was talking about. The wonderful setup for the mid-game and in the early game that we saw from them in the regular season. And while it's disheartening not to see that now against them, I still think we have seen each one of these players improve.
We have. But, again, improvement, if you only make it so far in summer, it really is all about summer now and competing for that LCS spot.
Yep.
2 different routes and at least how to get there, with Dorado trying to get this team to come together as 5. Sadly, it doesn't feel like that's been the case. At least given the roster they're running today, as highly as I thought of Redemption in spring.
It's just hard. It's such an impactful role right now, and to just have it completely change at the last second is really tough.
Yep. So definitely, I think part of the story for sure. But also just have to keep on giving kudos over to Conviction that continue to look
100%.
At least a little bit more like themselves. And for me, frankly, I walked out of that Cupid Conviction series thinking that both these teams could be our 2 representatives. NRG is still, I think them and Cupid are the 2 teams to beat. And given that NRG beat Cupid, good argument that they are the team to beat. But I left the Cupid Conviction series thinking that I watched a pretty decent level of League of Legends in front of me. And Conviction, I think, continues, at least for me, to at least put more respect on Cupid's name as how good Cupid might be in this bracket. I'm looking forward to see more from them because Friday, we've got 2 best of 3s on Friday, and the winners of those will be 1 best of 5 away from playing for that LCS slot.
It's crazy how quickly the stakes start mounting up here in an ACL playoffs. I'm just happy we're finally into best of 5 territory at least. This being our first best of 5 of summer.
We'll see if we get more than 3 games today, Mazel.
Yeah, hey, it's still a best of 5 even if it's 3 games. That doesn't change that. Results-based analysis, all right?
You're not wrong, but at the moment...
Thank you, Cubby.
At the moment, it's looking like whatever dinner plans you have might need to be moved up.
See if Dorado... Hey, every game is a fresh slate. Every game is an opportunity. As Baron being focused down now by Conviction. I think Dorado are struggling even to find an entrance here. Insanity doing so much damage on the side. Now Sniper taking his frontal face as Lojaz tries to go for the Supreme Display of Talent on Insanity, but he gets away. Baron goes over to Conviction. Insanity just completely dogs Lojaz. And that's Conviction walking away with potentially 5. He just got another kill. He killed Adam up there too. It's a double solo bolo for Insanity. Absolutely insane. And Rampage going over to Cody's son as Tomio finds the backside of Redemption. That's a double kill to him as well. They should be able to just go into the game now. Hub, the only one to witness the end of Dorado in game number 2.
No one can deal with the damage of Insanity. No one can deal with the tankiness of Sniper. And Conviction put together a very solid game 2 to push themselves to that 2-0 lead over the upstarts in Dorado.
I want a replay of that double solo bolo there by Insanity. That is absolutely disgusting. I don't know if he's reached those record damage numbers that he did the first time he pulled this champion out, but he finds a way to make a difference from the draft in the game. Both games 1 and 2 completely dictated by this mid laner for Conviction, and Conviction at match point in the lower bracket in their first best of 5.
Exactly what the doctor ordered here for Conviction as they try to return to what is, I guess, familiar with them, which is winning and performing. We haven't seen a ton of that in the regular season, but again, this team has the pedigree where we have cut them some slack. And at least when, things matter more, they lost to a good team in Cupid, but I don't think they played terribly during that series. And it is good to see them have good plays today. I think that some of the movements they've had on the grubs, or even some choices in draft, I like what they ended up with in that draft for themselves. But on the flip side for Dorado, really wish we saw a little bit more competitiveness out of them, because neither of these first 2 games have been close or competitive, Mazel. I feel like not indicative of the strength that we have seen from Dorado.
No, not at all.
Like just the last couple of splits. And if they were to go out like this, would be a bummer.
It.
I
get what I want. Thank you so much, Prod. Oh, that is so nasty, man. The double solo bolo. Shout out to Phil Sirocco, One Blade, for our precision play. And that's going in the highlight reel, I'm not going to lie.
That Cogmon was spitting, that's for sure. Yeah,
it's true. That is it for game number 2. We have to see if Dorado are going to be bidding adieu to NACL Summer, or if they've got one more give to give. It is going to be game 3 on the horizon. We'll see you after a break.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco One Blade.
Trim. Edge. Shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
Okay. Well, we've been playing with Fearless for quite a bit, so nothing new for us, really. We all have pretty wide champion pools, and with the mage meta, we have a couple unique picks. I'd prefer ADCs, but couple mage games I don't mind.
Trim, edge, shave.
Trim, edge, and shave with Philips Norelco One Blade. One tool for all you need.
Philips Norelco One Blade presents Shave All Things. Your style made simple with Philips Norelco One Blade 360.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco One Blade.
Welcome back, everyone, to NACL, presented by Philips Norelco One Blade. I'm Mazel. I'm joined by Cubby, and now we are on a precipice here. One game deciding, is Dorado done until next year? And if Conviction moves forward in the lower bracket. They are up 2-0 now in two dominant games from top to bottom, it felt like. And now we need to see what Dorado's got left in the bag.
Yeah, so far, I know that Dorado came into the day with Change, Redemption being in the lineup. Their support from Spring was out the split, boot camping in Korea and seeing family abroad. They were not able to get practice time in with Redemption. They made it seem like this was a bit of a surprise change, but sadly, we haven't seen the Dorado that we're used to. I think that coming into the day, I had a Conviction win, and I had this being a tough matchup for Dorado. Conviction kind of sold me on what they showed against Cupid. I feel like matchup-wise, we've talked about Dorado as being the team that does play the map decently well. The question is whether or not they get into the game. We haven't seen them really get into the series in either game. And because of that, we haven't really been able to see them play the map well, which I think when your greatest strength, features some synergy, and you're losing that for the last 5-6 weeks of what the regular season has been. It hasn't looked very promising for Dorado, but backs up against the wall could potentially be their last outing, or maybe they surprise us, because quite frankly, they haven't given me a lot of faith that this series is going any direction except for a 3-0 towards Conviction. So curious if we do get some of that Dorado that we saw in regular season, as they now have to win 3 in a row to keep their LCS hopes alive.
Yeah, we're hoping so, and it will be from the red side if they do. It does look like they will have the counter pick as well. So we see the Pantheon, the Olaf, and the Anivia banned away already by Conviction. Dorado ban away the Nocturne and the Jace so far, and the Vi.
Kind of funny how that focus from the last game where Conviction had first pick, they took away the Vi, Nocturne, and the Pantheon. And this game with Conviction, or I should say with Conviction having first pick, it's now Dorado taking away some of those champs. I find that a bit interesting.
I think it's curious at how the meta has evolved in this series specifically, but the Blind and Bessa does come through for Sniper.
First pick used by Conviction. But yeah, just kind of funny, like the counter pick for Dorado, I feel like they sold 2 bans just to try and get counter pick. So we'll see how Dorado's able to use it, as it will be a Camille picked up for Decoy. And frankly, Mazel, given the changes to Camille on this patch, I expect this to be a Camille for Decoy, not for Redemption. I mean, Camille, I think that where Camille struggled was that she wasn't able to consistently get to that 1-2 item point where she is really strong and her kit is very good. Giving her the more shields and more Ws, a 4-second cooldown reduction on the W, which gives you healing too if you connect. It gave Camille a lot more tools to try and get out of lane phase at good footing. Where, yeah, I mean, when you join, there is a reason that Camille's support was being played. Her kit is very, very strong. So good to see a lot of our top laners, frankly, adapting to those changes quite quickly. And we'll see if Decoy, who I expect to be piloting this Camille, can do the same.
Yeah, and I know I was sitting there while you were talking with fellow color caster / content creator Jamada about how ridiculous this champion is, and I agree that the kit itself is just insane. I do really like some of the consistency coming out from Conviction on that side, though. I mean, the Yunara Lulu, a crazy hyper carry combo for Cody's son as well, provides some aggressive opportunities once he hits that level 6 mark as well. The Lee Sin is what LoJazz decides is what it's going to get them over the hump. It's a lot of pressure to have for LoJazz to really be able to snowball this Lee Sin pick.
As the Rise to try and do it, and also funny to see Adam playing the Rise. It's another champion that we haven't seen Adam play all split, as this was in Insanity only. So, 2 out of the 3 games, Adam debuting a unique champion to, I think, try and cut into Insanity's pool a little bit, or in this case, I think try and make sure they have mid-jungle priorities so that they can attack the bot lane, because you don't want to let this Yunara get going.
Yeah, you definitely don't. And it's going to have to be a little bit of presence, as they do have a lot of mobility from the solo lanes to get down there with some roams and ganks. But now we're getting into the
Karma
second phase.
Yeah, and imagine Karma's taken away here. Just deny like a Jhin Karma answer, try and use range. I know that Jin's hated, but okay, Rakan to deny Zaya Rakan. Wouldn't be surprised if we see
I like the jungle
Karma
lanes too.
Ended up coming in here for redemption. As yeah, I think Skarner Poppy very reasonable. And oh boy, we're gonna Callisto Renata to wrap things up.
Okay, I'm
That's
actually
also
kind of
new.
here for it. Yeah, I mean, hey, a little bit of presence in that 2v2. It's, I feel like going to be decided pretty early on how that goes.
If they smolder Maokai, I'd be.
Oh, that would be nasty.
That'd be fun.
We have seen a little bit of talk about that here, but we'll see what they end up going with. Obviously, counterpick still available for Dorado. It's going to be the Talia locked in, so still some flexibility there, it feels like, but that mobility in the mid lane is going to be extremely important.
We'll see if Hub's on point enough to not hop through the rocks. That is very difficult. And I expect guaranteed lockdown now coming in with Talia, so Wukong was already hovered. Likely Wukong lock in here for Tomio. We'll be a bit on the back foot in the mid-jungle 2v2. I favor the Rise Lee Sin early, and again, I think the key is to try and move bot lane to support this Callisto Renata and try and shut down the Yunara Lulu. So Dorado, at least for me, showing the most early game that they've drafted throughout the series, and we'll see if they can utilize this early game to get into this game and this series, because Conviction, in spite of having a rather poor regular season, where they went 1-4 series score, they did average being up over 1,000 gold to 15. And we have seen those early games be quite good for Conviction. And for Dorado, that was their struggle in spring. They really fixed in summer, being up at 15, which was a big improvement for them, as they were down pretty heavily in spring. But playoffs, that's kind of reemerged as an issue. As in their first series against Maryville, they were down on average 1,300 gold over those 2 games. And that feels like a rather appropriate deficit that they've faced in this series against Conviction at the 15-minute mark of both these first 2 games. So, needs to be a better early game for Dorado. They drafted for it. Let's see if they can do it.
Couple checklists here for Dorado. Don't lose the early game. Don't give solo kills over. And don't give first blood to Insanity. He's had 2 games in a row where he's gotten first blood. And Conviction have come out 2-0 in the series. Maybe just trying to change the historical facts here in game number 3 and see if Adam can hold on. A do-or-die game for Dorado Gaming. It is Conviction who, in a lower bracket run of their own that they aren't used to from last split, as they did make the upper bracket run there. But a win is a win. Domineering so far. Does Dorado have any faith left to give? It's game number 3 of our first best of 5 in the NACL Summer Playoffs. Conviction versus Dorado. Got Insanity already in level 1. This is some trouble. Holds it as well. The handshake gonna be there. And no first blood for Insanity. It is first blood on Insanity going to LoJazz.
All right. I mean, that's the start that you needed here for Dorado. Again, this team, it just feels like they've really struggled to get into this series. And good scouting, a good trap laid. Q start from Redemption hurts a wee bit for lane, but don't think that's going to matter too much. As first blood being on Adam, one that they can definitely use well.
Really good trade here from Cody's son. Able to get the stacks up early and then able to use that to push in with the lethal tempo. That's going to give them a lot of prio down here on the bot side, but my entire set of eyes is on Low Jazz here with the first blood. I know it's not that much gold. I know it's not that much pressure to give, but a Lee Sin with early kills, we've seen it run matches over and over in the recent meta, and he's going to need to do something here on this jungle pick, on Low Jazz, who has been a cornerstone, it feels like, for Dorado, and both of these junglers are going to be pathing down towards bot side.
See if Cody Sun and Zyko can get out of this first play. Low Jazz is walking over a ward to go mid. That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, that's tough. He's going to be spotted out going mid. He tries to go for
mid.
gank. If we can go back mid, there's a 2v2 as it's going down for Adam. Insanity barely scraping out alive, and Tomio flashes for the kill. All has come up trumps and aces for Conviction as he throws up the crying cat emote again, and that is Conviction now finding 2 back, both onto Tomio.
And, I mean, the hot start that you were hoping for Dorado with that first blood onto Insanity just comes to a crashing halt as the ward dropped on the Raptor camp. I'm not exactly sure when that was, but it wasn't scouted. And that's the important part, because Low Jazz thought he was going for a creative play. Not the case, and the summoner spells burned were on Low Jazz and Adam's side. Yes, Tomio flashes, but that was a flash for a double kill, so I think that he just ends up probably snagging the top crab here, getting a fat reset, and then Wukong's off to a good start. And when Wukong gets off to good starts, he's such a stat check champion that at times he's really tough to slow down. So that is a really rough start now for Dorado. Off of what was at least a promising first blood and a much-needed Game 3 where they have to win.
And Insanity living on a smidgen of health is got to hurt for Dorado. As they found the play, they just didn't have the stick-to-itiveness.
Props to Insanity, had the potion running, helped ensure that the Scorch DFT auto attack wasn't enough to burn away the Talia health bar, but
Low Jazz is a bit stuck.
Yeah, he went for bot crab. Again, I felt like this was Tomio's crab up top. He's yet to reset. And curious if Tomio ends up doing, 2 more camps. This is going to be just the fattest of all resets here for Wukong first. And ability to push Lee Sin around is going to be so real now.
Adam barely slinking out of the seismic shove there. Had Zyko right behind him. Decent damage could have followed through. Redemption comes in, though, in 2v2 action. As supports are one to do now, especially in this series. We've seen it multiple times. That it should go back to all is square in just a few moments as they're going to be going back down towards bot side. But I just think that, these level 6s are coming. I want to see, and I don't know if we're going to see, some of that proactivity with the compositional style that Dorado have. Use this Realm Warp to try to punish somebody on Conviction and get Low Jazz some more resources.
Well, return to the scene of the crime.
Three-prong attack. Insanity's going to go ahead and flash. He has no mana, and he will be done. Redemption survives. It's going to be Redemption that gets killed too, which is a bit unfortunate, but they at least take down Insanity for a second time.
I think 3 was the only way they were getting that one. So, at least able to get something. Meanwhile, top lane, this Camille and Bessa matchup is changed a bit. I think Camille, more capability for her to actually do stuff early is a good sidestep. Decoy with 6 actually might be able to turn this if he gets it soon enough. I think it's 2 creeps away.
Close there is trying to skirt the edge with the health bars, but Conviction are going to be taking down the Dragon now on the bot side with the lack of presence that is there for Dorado. This will be a much earlier Dragon than 26 minutes in. Low Jazz maybe looking for the steal. I think it's going to be a little bit tough here. There is.
Ooh, not quite able to find that Q. Was Redemption. As Mazel. First Drake going over to Conviction. I'd say not exactly part of the game plan, or at least the hopes for Dorado with this Lee Sin rise. And I think returning to that opening game plan, we talked about mid-jungle getting ahead and using the rise Lee Sin to try and move and impact bot. We've yet to see that. And I really struggle to see how Callista functions or interacts later on into this team or comp. So I know it's a small lead right now for Conviction. I think that given the drafts, this lead feels... they're already ahead of where they should be. And again, get concerned for Dorado. I like the play that they made on mid, the kill Insanity is 3, but it feels like there's been so much tempo burned to just set Insanity behind and not enough gains found elsewhere.
But doesn't that come back to that conversation about the individuality of Conviction? Yes, Insanity has been enemy agent #1 in this series. The guy has been hard carrying 2 games in a row. But then they're hyper-focusing on him, and you still have to deal with the mechanical prowess of the other members on this team. And I think it just becomes so difficult. They are the multi-headed Hydra.
I don't know. I feel like the Hydra didn't come back with the same strength after they lost some members from Spring, you know? But, you know what? Maybe that's maybe the Hydra's just been scaling up, just been regrowing.
Needs a couple of the heads cut off to regrow 2 in their place.
Well, see if the head's growing in. Still definitely a case where I feel like Tactical's presence at times has been missed, but
yeah, for sure.
Hey, you know what, Cody's had a really nice series so far, along with the rest of his team. I think the flashiness has come elsewhere, and honestly, I mean, the flashiness for me has really come from that mid-jungle duo going for the 4-peat. At least for Insanity and Tomio.
And now, like clockwork, they're going to move this mid-jungle duo that you're just talking about towards the grubs to take. And again, you can't ever count these 2 guys out. Every time they step into the ring, their opponents get knocked out. I don't know what else to say. The results are there. We've seen these 2 guys run this league from top to bottom, it feels like. When they're here.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a reason that we've kind of cut them some slack and talked about the pedigree. And I mean, when push comes to shove, these guys have showed up when it matters, and that's happening again today. As Grub rotation in full effect here, Conviction's bot lane gets out of the Callista Renata matchup. And while it's a handshake and waves across the map.
Lane play. Expect ultimatum on Insanity. They're going to take him down for a 3rd time. Sniper can't save him this time. Decoy is going to get his first kill of the game here, too.
So that's nice. Again, we're having a handshake in terms of what lanes are being played. We actually might see a Realm War up top. This is curious. Are they going to TP in Decoy and look?
It's 3v3.
Oh,
There's Realm War coming
here
through
we go.
for the fight. Instant Cyclone onto Adam. Adam's the big focus, and Adam goes down the Eye of Ruin, hits him straight in the dome, and now that's going to be Tomio falling. 1 for 1 so far, but Decoy's going to be quick to follow. Cody Sun is just ripping through them. A double kill comes through for him. He's going to be looking for a triple. Sniper comes over as well. He does not have the public execution, so Lojaz should make it out alive, but Insanity is going to Weaver's Wall over just to try to finish the job here. Will the minions be enough? No, he will be spotted out. He's going to try to back here, but the minions have followed him, and the grave comes quickly for us all, Lojaz, as Insanity gets his payback.
And, you know, sending in those 3 to deal with the bot lane and Tomio, I think on paper, it's like, all right, we have solos versus a jungler and a bot lane. We should out-level, we should be strong enough, but given the start that Conviction has had, that's just not the case. And Tomio lived for so long in that skirmish. I really feel like he was the big difference maker to the fact that he came in with a lead on Wukong. Because the damage that he brought right away, it got the first kill, and then because of Zyko, he lived so long that the 3v3 was very quickly Conviction and Cody Sun-sided.
It is indeed. That's just what we kind of feared when we were looking at the Yunara. I mean, these sustained fights, right? When you get that lethal tempo going, when you have that on hit, when you have the ability of Zyko to kind of buffer that as well, it becomes so difficult if you can't exercise him from the team. And now, Dragon number 2 is going to be started up. I think Tomio's a little bit early here. 3-man Wild Growth, he's still alive. Here comes the hostile takeover, though, and I think Conviction are going to start losing bodies here. Zyko goes down, and so does Tomio. That should be Dragon to Dorado, and they will go 1 for 1 in Dragon stacking.
I feel like Tomio played that like he had Cyclone, and he did not have Cyclone. And that was the big difference of that play, is now Cody-san's dead.
And yeah, that's going to be another big pick. That's that side lane pressure we were talking about, Cubby. And all of a sudden, it's a dead even game.
Ability to chase with Camille Rise. They have a ton of reach and ability to play the sides. I just don't agree with how Tomio played that dragon. I really feel like he was like, all right, I'm going to go with his 3. We're going to wild growth and press R, and then we're going to win. And everything came in, and then he pressed R, and he's like, oh, crap, I did not have aura. As he just kind of walked into 3 and died. It's been a very good day for Tomio, but that play, not quite it. And Dorado on their side, again, much needed Mazel. These guys playing for their tournament lives. End up finding that play, that kill. Low Jazz is actually somewhat in this game, in spite of the really hot start for Tomio. This decoy flashes out of the public execution and will base and get a Trinity Force.
Yeah, which, you know, worth flash to survive there and get your item completed. We'll have to lose a little bit of presence on that bot side outer, but we'll see if that actually comes back to pay, as it's going to be Conviction moving and circling around the mid lane now. A lot of options available for them if they want to try to take down this turret.
I don't know how Callista Renata plays later. I'm really worried about that one, Mazel.
Yo, I'm here for the glut start every game though for Hub. That's confidence, baby.
I'm looking at Wukong, Talia. Like, Callista hates to see that. You can get polymorphed. Even Ambessa too. With kind of the Beyblades. Yeah, Shiv's a little bit more standard now though on the Callista. It's just nice for the wave clear and how it interacts with the Rage Blade coming in later on. But I understand, like, the idea. I like the Lee Sin rise into Callista Renata and trying to shut down things early and win. I still feel like the game that we have right now, the fact it's even means Conviction's ahead with how the scaling in this game goes. And I like the fact that we've seen Dorado get really active and play some of these sides. Because, again, I think that when Dorado's at their best, it's been Low Jazz being the one that plays fast on sides.
Yeah.
What champions have been denied all day? It's been Pantheon, Vi, Nocturne. The 3 champions that really open you up for that playstyle more than any others. So using Rise, Camille to kind of cheat that and have ways to actually play with tempo, where I feel like that is a real strength of Dorado. I do appreciate the solution, even if I'm concerned at how the scaling might go later on.
It's one of those things where you can actually see that kind of change in mentality, or at least change in strategy throughout the series itself, and wondering what would happen if they had gone full early game in game number 2. But hindsight is always 20/20, ain't it? It's about 2 minutes away from another dragon, 40 seconds from the Rift Herald on top side. And you can see Conviction putting a lot of resources in locking down this top side of the map. Tomio's skirting. Tomio's looking. Oh, they actually looked on the decoy. He gets everything but the bailout there. The bailout comes through, but he doesn't get the reset, and he just goes down. 5-member strong Conviction just kind of collapse around the mid lane now. They're going to take this outer turret, too.
Do you feel like it's kind of weird that Decoy's here and Adam isn't? I know TPs are kind of down, but Rise has to be the wave clear. Again, Ballista can't really wave clear even with the Shiv just because you're into Talia Wukong. So I think that's a nice scenario from Conviction where they group up as 4 and find something. And frankly, we want to see if we see more of that from them, because I think they're better in the stack than Dorado, and that might be a way to avoid getting hunted by the reach of Camille Rise between the hook shots and the Realm Warps, which has already gotten them a couple times this game. But that grouped up scenario looks pretty unplayable for Dorado, and that is my concern as this game continues.
It's been a very dominant series from Conviction. Games 1 and 2 obviously wrote themselves. This is probably the closest game we've had so far in the series, which is saying something for Dorado. About 1,000 gold up still is Conviction. Realm Warp play just a little bit wide from Adam. He did pop the Ghost. Really wanted to try to catch out Zyko, but Zyko just gives him the llama thumbs up, and he is perfectly fine. 5 seconds out from Dragon.
Yeah, I might be a Dragon give, but the fact that play was dodged out on, it means that it only is a Dragon Give, and they're trading it for Insanity, getting resources in the top side. So I think as Conviction, you're A-okay with that.
First Dragon of an Ocean Soul on the way over for Dorado, so they'll be at 2 now.
Bad draw.
Feel pretty good. Yeah, not the greatest draw.
I think Ocean Soul is a really bad draw here for Dorado.
Yeah, not the comp you want with that, extra regeneration as the Rift Herald is going over to Conviction.
Yeah, they want to all in these fights, so.
Getting a little scuffle in the mid lane. Now we're looking at bot lane here as well. Decoy thinking about going in, has low jazz behind him, but he takes the extra turret shot. He just gets completely 1v1 by Sniper, and now the public execution goes in on the low jazz. Low jazz now down 2 levels, has to use the kick, has to get away from Sniper. It's desperation, and it reeks of it. Sniper get the solo and almost takes down 2.
Insanity was hovering, not going to cast the Weaver's Wall, though, to hunt low jazz. Instead, just going to push mid. And,
Weaver's Wall to the top lane. I was thinking about trying to catch out Adam. Adam caught out by his lonesome here. Actually has Redemption next to him, but the bailout still has no money behind it. The funds are empty, and Dorado is lacking.
And Conviction, as they keep on pumping in more funds, they're going to keep on scaling up. Cody's son doesn't have ult.
Doesn't. He has Flash and Barrier, though. He will end up burning that Flash to get over the wall. He's on 2 items. You got to be careful stepping up to this Yunara. Decoy goes straight in, but Tomio's waiting on the other side. Battle Herald has been summoned. It's going to be the hostile takeover. It's on to 2. Only 2, and more importantly, not Cody's son. Insanity was the first target. Look at Cody's son. He is ripping through them with the Runaans. That's going to be a 2-fer. Is he going to get the 3-fer? He wants it here, but it's not going to be nearly enough. Sniper's going to chase him down. He wanted the quadra, but he just got the triple kill.
Honestly, the fact that Dorado pushed there, I think they kind of had to. It's a 3-for-3. Hub gets out with a lot of gold. It's not a win for them, but that was a scenario where I feel like Conviction's out on the map for a while, and you got to start trying to find and make plays. And we've talked about the reach of Camille Rise. That was one where I think they did catch Conviction off tempo, and I'm glad that they ended up forcing there, as it Phillips Norelco precision play ends up being what could be the start of a Dorado turnaround. Wild Growth cancels Decoy. I think the fact that Insanity gets found here with hostile takeover and by Lee Sin ends up hurting, because fighting on the rocks is the key. When you have Talia, I like to default so many comps or just talk about fighting on rocks. That is such an important cooldown. One that oftentimes stymies what the other team can do. In this case, it's going to limit Camille and Callista a lot, but also it sets you up for the combos that oftentimes you're hard drafting Talia for. Stuff like the Wukong, the Vi, the Nautilus, right? So I do think the fact that they found Talia in that fight, got the rocks out of the equation, was a big deal, but just keep an eye out for Insanity and how aggressive Conviction plays around the rocks.
Oh, Hub barely makes it over the rocks, but it's hostile, and it is not a takeover. It is just another bailout that goes unfunded, and 2 more kills go to Cody's son. He is looking for his 3rd again here, trying to get Low Jazz. Low Jazz uses the safeguard over the wall, but man, I just don't think you can step up to this comp right now.
No, and you know, you're just talking about kind of the side of Dorado or what Conviction wants to do. I mean, the people that benefit the most from the rocks are having that unraveled earth down is what I'm referring to, the Talia E specifically. It is the marksman, right? And Cody's son, and kind of allowing him to stand and fire. And Cody's son, as kind of coming into the series, we talked about one of the differences of Conviction this time around, not having the tactical bounty bot lane, but having Cody's son and Zyko in. I don't feel like Cody's son's quite had the same impact as tactical, which, you know, tactical was very, very good. He was kind of a cheat code once he stepped on in. But Cody, I think, is having one of the better series that we've seen from him in his Conviction stint, which very good sign moving forward for Conviction as they try to make the lower bracket run to meet the expectations of their team, which is to compete for an LCS slot, nothing less.
Yep, and a lot of veterancy to back that up here. Baron in the eyes of Conviction. They should be able to take this one here. Redemption trying to step up. Hub tried to step up, and now he's just dead. Another lacking bailout. Sniper goes on a killing spree now, and Baron kind of left to its own devices here. Cody's son and Tomio just baiting this one out, seeing if they can get them to overextend before they finish it off. Don't want to risk any Low Jazz steals here, as Insanity goes point blank on Adam. Low Jazz goes in, but way too late. And now Tomio tried to
And while this game felt a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive, Bazell, I think it's going to be the same result, which is a dominant Conviction win in the end. As I mean, Conviction just did everything better today. I felt like game 2, individually, gapped early, ended up being a win. This game, I think that Dorado had a couple instances where they tried to play their win con, but I love the read that Tomio had out of the jungle to turn mid, get 2 early kills, and I feel like the Wukong's been quite strong so far for Conviction. And again, game 1 was, that's what got everything started. It was very one-sided. They played the Ziggs out, and they played their combos better. So I'm bummed. I know that Dorado extra circumstances to deal with team side, incorporating a player that hasn't played with them for 5 to 6 weeks, but I was hoping to have a more competitive series, hoping to see the Dorado that we saw still throughout the summer split, and we haven't seen that today. What we have seen is a Conviction that looks much closer to the likes of Spring, and that is a positive, but not for Dorado. Is this going to be the last time we see them?
For a year until next year, which is, again, it's not the performance we know they would want to go out on. It does not represent their regular season, the growth from spring to summer. But everybody, if you want to contest for the LCS, and Conviction are putting that to task. This is a team that won holistically in split number 1, and while it might look a little bit different, the core is still there, and we see this series completely feels like dictated by both Insanity and Tomio, and they're trying to do a little bit different than Spring with this lower.
Yeah, I feel like the funny thing for me too is I feel like Sniper for me has actually been a much more solid, like it's been more solid throughout the run for Conviction than he was last split. So I think that element has almost led to a greater surprise at Conviction being where they're at. But I think also spoke to the importance that Tactical and Tomio for that matter have to this team, and they are not the same team if Tomio is not performing. Has been good to see Tomio show up and perform today. Definitely a candidate for player of the series. That might be an interesting discussion that we have to have quickly here, Mazel. But it really has just felt like a team win from Conviction where I can point to every individual and feel like they outplayed their opponent today.
I think so as well. And, you know, they were giving towards him this game might have led out to the advantage that Conviction has here now, but you can't take those first 2 games and not say this guy was absolutely destroying this series, as he was able to dictate it from draft and in game. But it's going to be a tough one for sure as Conviction starts circling the wagons here around Dorado.
CFT Clay, Low Jazz want to fish as the wall comes out to help with the siege. Be the second inhibitor turret knocked down. Second inhibitor up next for Conviction. The Baron is off the shoulders, but the push continues.
Conviction just trying to kind of press, see where the weak points are, see if they can crack open some of these inhibs here as they're pushing multiple lanes. They get Low Jazz just down 100-0. Tomio might join him soon, but Redemption gonna get Faith called in. Nice double knockup coming through as the Hectech ultimatum is used, but he's been polymorphed the entire time. Sniper goes on a rampage and Cody Sun flashing forward, taking down Adam. Adam's gonna get the shield back, but the towers are the focus. Conviction, they might have lost in that first round, but they will not look to lose any longer. The lower bracket run for the Spring Kings is on. The race to the finish is right in line, and Conviction take a convincing 3-0 over Dorado.
I think all 3 of those games were under 27 or under 31 minutes. It was 30-30 for game 2, and every other game was faster than that. As Conviction, I mean, that's a bit of a statement to the rest of the lower bracket, what they were just able to do here, Mazel, as no signs of slowing down for Conviction in this series. We'll talk about Dorado in a bit too, but at least for Conviction, again, I felt like they played good into Cupid. I know it was a 2-0, but those games were competitive. And Cupid, I feel like, just outplayed them at some of the better moments. But map play-wise, I feel like Conviction were making good decisions and good trades. It's not like they got crushed. This was much more convincing for me on the form that this team might be in, because they just smacked Dorado. And this is now a message to the rest of the lower bracket where if you want to compete for that LCS slot, you're going to have to go against the team that has been perennial champions. If you look at Tomio and Insanity when they've partaken. If you're going to...
There's a shark in the water and it ain't Ole Miss. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. If you're gonna actually try and get through this lower bracket, you're going to have to go through the guys that have been hoisting these NACL trophies for the last few splits. And that looked much more akin to the Conviction that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of sends a shiver down the spines of everyone in ACL is this team might look a little bit different, but the core pieces are still there, and they are starting to light up when they need it most. And I know we've had all these kinds of conversations about Conviction throughout the split and how they've gotten to this point, and the fact that they're even in the lower bracket here as well with that first performance. But overall, if they can find their stride, this is a team that could absolutely push for the top 2.
I think if you look at the gold graphs for this series, that little dip past the 10-minute mark was the only time I saw Conviction down after the 5-minute mark of the series.
And it was at least consistent.
It was that one-sided, sincerely, coming out from Conviction. Just how quick these games were, how dominant they were in their fashion. And again, but further from the struggles that we saw when they were still piecing together their roster, we heard that they weren't scrimming as hard as some of the other teams behind the scenes at the start of the regular season too. Those problems feel like they're now more at the wayside, as this was a Conviction that, again, really felt like the team that we have pitched as being a team to beat. And frankly, one that, for me, makes the playoff race a lot more exciting, because we were talking earlier about how Dorado being that team of upstarts. A lot of the times, like, if you want to start your era in sports, you got to beat a team that's kind of already been there. And that team may have their own struggles, but again, the pedigree is there. Upstart's not able to take Conviction. And if Conviction's in form, I think that makes the matchups between Cupid and NRG, the teams that we also expect to be competing against Disguise potentially for that LCS slot, a lot more exciting as we make it further into our NACL playoffs. Might have lost Mazel there. Well, Mazel, we'll get Mazel real quick. We appreciate you guys sticking with us between a couple of crashes that we had on our end. I had a unique one too where my OBS crashed as well, but we're going to be getting ready for the post-game interview. We got a member of Conviction joining us, but a little bit more housekeeping to take care of while we try and reincorporate Mazel. I believe that we have a player of the series, or an MVP, to give out, as this was a tough one for me to give, frankly. I thought all 5 members of Conviction, as we were saying at the end of that Game 3, outplayed their opponents on the other side of the rift. But I think one member in particular, just given what we set up for the series coming in, we looked at both junglers in the face-to-face, head-to-head matchup sponsored by Philips Norelco OneBlade. And we felt like each jungler got outperformed in the series that ended up putting them in that lower bracket. But for me, no question that Tomio was the performer today, as he's going to take home our MVP when we do end up having that one ready. But we'll be excited to at least talk to the Conviction camp and one of those victorious members afterwards to see how they're feeling. Because this performance, again, I felt like Cupid, it was a competitive series, and kind of interested to hear what their thoughts are on that too. We didn't talk to them, given they were losers. But coming into the day, I really feel like just the control that Tomio was able to exert on the map was a big difference maker. And making sure that Conviction were set up for success. And we talk about this team, when they are at their best, it does feel like one where they kind of let their lanes win. And we see Tomio control a lot of the objectives. Game 2 was a bit goofy, given that only 1 dragon was taken like that entire game. But it really felt like Tomio had control of the Rift today. Rotations from Conviction were spot on. I do want to give shout outs, I think, to every member of Conviction. I think Sniper might have had the quietest series, given the stack, but I felt like Cody-san and Zyko were spot on. Zyko was really good in Game 1, I think, in particular on the Nautilus, to get things rolling with Tomio.
Yeah.
And just nice to see Tomio, a player that, did sit out for a couple weeks, with this Conviction lineup come back in, be reincorporated, and look closer to the Tomio that was hoisting championships. So what was really nice to see Tomio have a big series.
Yeah, it was. And it was a hard decision. I know I was gunning for Insanity a little bit more than Tomio, but obviously Game 3 happened where he got hyper-focused and wasn't able to find the same pop-up performance. But my God, should all of the NACL teams that come to the lower bracket be terrified of his Casio and his Kog'Maw after today? I think they should have been before, but maybe a little bit of recency bias going to come into the play there.
The Kog'Maw was a nice reminder, you know?
Yeah,
like, hey,
a little bit of wake-up call.
I do have this pick, yeah. Nice reminder.
It's an important thing. Individual performances across the board for Conviction. I think that's something to kind of carry forward here as well. I don't know if we have our interview ready to go. If we do, I can take it away. If not, we can hold on for a little bit longer. But that being said, I think it's important to highlight that we are seeing Conviction start to ramp up. And I know we've beat it a ton of times here talking about that specifically, but this is a team that could actually find the angle to make a run to the playoffs and to a place that to the end of the playoffs, rather, to a place that they know very well from that last split. So it is to Dorado, and wish we could have gotten a little bit more fight from them, but this makes a very compelling lower bracket run for Conviction coming through.
Yeah, we'll save Dorado for after the interview. While you were reconnecting there, Marcel was talking about how at least the matchups between NRG and Cupid that we expect to see, because I think those are the three front runners we have to find those two slots that will compete against these guys for the LCS slot. From this region, of course, we'll have others from ORN and other regions, kind of like last year, made for a fun tournament. But yeah, it really feels like the level of those three teams a little bit above the rest, and nice to see Conviction, I think, reach that mantle with at least the last couple series they had. I know they got 2-0'd by Cupid, but still feel like they played admirably in that series where Cupid just beat them in the important moments. So good to see Conviction at least. We expect this team to have pedigree. And a lot of the times we have pedigree at this level, you use it to win without like playing around the fights themselves and just win playing the map. I think we saw a lot of that today from Conviction. So really good to see them in form.
Yeah, the decision-making across the map is something really important. Again, for me, it was like the decisiveness throughout the whole series, just willing some of these fights. Even in this last game, like we saw, a little bit overzealous sometimes, not able to find the connection point, but it's to go for those plays. And I think that's something that could behoove a lot of teams in the NACL. Is just the best answer it can be. Now, I do hear that our interview is ready to go. We're going to be talking with the MVP, Tomio, and I'm excited because I get to chat with my good old friend again. It feels like I get to talk to him all the time. So, Cubby, I'm going to send you away. I'm going to bring in Tomio. And, man, it's been a long time, I feel like, since I've gotten to talk to Tomio. Hopefully, we'll be bringing him in now. Tomio, my man. Long hair and everything. Long hair, don't care. Carrying it out. Nefiri coming out with you as well. The Wukong. What is different about this playoff run for you specifically than previous ones you've been a part of many, many times?
I guess the only difference, we're not looking too dominant. I guess I dropped to the lower bracket in the first round, so that's one of them too. And yeah, I guess there's more struggle in this round off compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I was talking with Covey. We were saying, you had to change it up. You couldn't just do another upper bracket run. You had to give us some drama. You had to do a lower bracket run this time around. How do you feel like the strength of you personally right now matches with previous versions of yourself making a run in the playoffs? Do you see the meta kind of aligning with what you want to grab?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's like anything to do with the meta. I think just as a 5-man, we're just slowly trying to get better because we're lacking a lot of things and a lot of individual problems. And when you have a lot of problems, it's hard to sometimes focus on just the team things. And I think we're slowly getting better at that. Whether it's not as fast as the previous playoffs, but for myself, yeah, I think nothing has like really changed in terms of like how I view the game or play the game. I kind of like stay the same whether it's the scrims or the matches, and just see what happens on the match day. To be honest, I don't really think about the past performances, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's going to keep the eyes forward at least. That being said, though, I'm going to ask this in a twofold question. What are you working on the most individually, like as a jungler? And then what do you feel like needs the most?
I think for myself individually, probably just always being consistent and being stable, force for the team. So we at least have a chance to always play the early, mid, late game, and making sure everybody knows what's going on in the game and there's not like many surprises. And just being willing to adapt to situations, scenarios is very important, I think. If you make mistakes, your team make mistakes, and we make mistakes, and just staying afloat. And I think for the team wise, I think it's just important that we play as a team. Whether it's a bad, good call or somebody has a different opinion on it, we do it together. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I can see that as well, and trying to work through that in the short time span at least. But I want to talk about a little bit of a relationship that we've been really appreciating on the broadcast. But you and Insanity, obviously together again for many times, and getting to show off that synergy a little bit today. Is it still like? Do you still have good vibes between the two of you? The way that you guys dictate drafts, and especially like games 1 and 2, where he has so much presence in the mid lane. How is it like playing around that relationship, but also within the current meta style?
Oh hell no, we don't got good vibes. We're fighting each other all the time, and usually, sometimes when you're with somebody for 3 to 4 years, the honeymoon phase is kind of over, and that's okay. That's just life. So
it's a relationship at that point.
We just show up. We try to do our job. I mean, maybe one day we get divorced, and that's just how it is. Sometimes there's no promises.
Hey, 50-50.
Even if we were happy in the past or did well in the past, sometimes it's not promised for the future. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that a little bit. Mindset going forward, though, for you guys, lower bracket run in tow, a lot of teams in the upper bracket that you're looking forward to. Is there anybody that you're looking forward to playing specifically in terms of players themselves or teams?
Honestly, I think I'm looking forward to just playing ourselves, our own team, because we have to beat ourselves first before we can beat the other teammates in the other team. Because if we can't beat ourselves and know what's going on, then we can't beat anybody. So I think it's important that we focus on ourselves. The rest is
I appreciate it.
Out of our control. We're already the 5th seed, last seed, potentially bombing out the playoffs, so we can't worry too much about the other teams.
And just look up, That being said, I want to give you a last chance here. Give some shout-outs. Anybody you want to talk about before I let you go?
I don't really have shout-outs, but I guess I could just say the generic, shout out my teammates and coaches and staff. They're really good people, and I hope I have them in my life for the next 5-10 years, even if it's like a once-a-day moment, and I appreciate them.
Okay, that's a long-term commitment there. I appreciate you so much, Tomio. I look forward to you guys' lower bracket run. I'm going to be saying bye to you and bring back Cubby. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Part of me hopes that my mic wasn't open, but also if it was, it's been a long time.
It's 50-50, Cubby. That's the stats, all right?
It's been a long
for
time.
Divorces.
It's been a long time since I laughed that hard at an answer to a question. Like, if we get divorced, it just is what it is. I was like, oh my god. But you know what? Looking forward for Tomio. I also appreciate how he says that and then ends on like the go team.
Go team.
We're try and win this in the long haul.
Now,
yeah.
I hope I get to see you guys every day.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate Tomio. He does give me some good laughs at times, but didn't make me laugh too much watching him play. As play today, outside of I think the one Wukong Dragon fight where I feel like he thought he had ult and did it. Very good day for Tomio and a very good day for Conviction as they move ahead in our lower bracket. And Mazal, I know it was a 6-team bracket in spring, but one of the big stories that we did have was the Winthrop University lower bracket buff. And they were winning game 5s. They were finding their way. They really felt like it built momentum for them as they tried to compete for NACL and CLAW. And I know that they had a very, very good spring split, even if it didn't end the way I think they wanted to for both leagues. But, man, if you give that buff to Conviction, I'm a little scared to see where they might be able to go with that one, as that could be adventurous. Also, I would have to double-check the official bracket, but I'm assuming that we have a lower bracket swap. So, like, the bracket swaps. So, loser of NRG versus Winthrop.
It is. Yeah, you can see it there. It's loser H.
Okay, loser H. There we go. Yeah, just making sure. So, I mean, really big, potentially fun rematch just with what could be, if Winthrop does something crazy, could be NRG versus Conviction already. But just to see if NRG is able to get out of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, the lower bracket could just become so spicy. And the most important split of NACL year, as we continue the elimination days tomorrow. Another best of 5 coming at you. Contingent versus Ole Miss. I feel like this one's going to be a lot closer than the series we saw today.
Well, Mazel, that's not saying much.
Come on, man.
I mean, I'm being honest.
You are.
I feel like what I will say is, let's just put a number on it, Mazel. Both of us. I'm not on the broadcast tomorrow.
I'm not either.
Average kills per minute across the series, across those 5 games between Ole Miss and Contingent. Because I can dig up the stats real quick. These are 2 bloody teams.
Yeah,
Ole Miss is like
I'm
bloody
gonna give
to the
it
point.
1.3. 1.3. That's what I'm going for.
That's really high, but that's not high enough.
I know it's high, but
I'm going 1.5. It's going to be 1.5 kills a minute. That's going to be the series. There's going to be at least one game in there that's 2 kills a minute.
We had
at
that
least
something better
one
today. Today was 2 hours long total. So maybe we get a little bit longer, more bloody. I'm here for it.
Guaranteed for tomorrow. Guaranteed.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I actually do want to check real quick what the average kills per minute on both these teams are. If I can find it in team stats real quick, because it is
it's kind of nuts. But I'm hoping for it. I want chaos. I want some more fun. I want to be able to hoot and holler there while I'm watching the series, at least. Well, hey, Cubby, while you look at those stats, I do want to give Dorado one last little bit of shout out as well. I mean, I know we've talked around it so much, but this is a team that we actually got to see real growth from them from split 1 to 2, and I think that is something that is not appreciated enough in NACL, because these are still developmental players. I know we have the promotion tournament. I know that changes the skew of things, but with a team like Dorado, where they do make it to the playoffs, they do find a little bit of growth from split number 1. I think it needs to be praised, and I really hope to see that continued growth maybe into next year, or even into the off season with some other tournaments and things. See if we can see these players again and continue working on what started to look good during the regular season for them.
Yeah, I mean, for the teams that do get eliminated now, it's a pretty tough break, because we don't exactly know what next year looks like. We don't have a schedule yet, and we'll see what NACL ends up looking like. But if it's the same as this year, it's a 6-month break for these players.
Yeah,
that's really tough to sustain yourself through in terms of pursuing this. But also, a long off season means that it's an opportunity to put a lot of work in behind the scenes that others can't see, in order to best prepare yourself for what ends up happening. So I hope that our gamers embrace the best of the best off-season NBA player mentality, which is, I'm just going to go work out so crazy hard that next season becomes easy for me. I'm
gonna never lift PCs.
I never got tired of seeing like the Russell Westbrook training in the sand videos, or like what those guys do. That's crazy. So really hope we see that from Dorado, because they were a team that we looked at in a positive light really until this series in terms of expectations and exceeding them. But sadly, same placement they had in spring. Didn't feel like that was indicative of what we saw from them in summer, but how the cookie crumbles and going up against a team like Conviction, they're a very strong team. So props to Dorado on a good year, and been a fun org to have a part of NACL now for 3 splits and continuing.
Yeah, that's what's the coolest thing, is hopefully we get to continue seeing that. Final thoughts here, Cubby. Did you find your stat? Do you have anything else to say?
So Contingent is a team that averages 1.25 kills a game across kills and deaths.
I was close.
Kills and deaths a minute. Ole Miss is closer to 1. So like the kills a minute closer to 1.
Good.
So both teams going into this one, they average over 1 kill a minute in their games. And at least for me, I think these are 2 of the bloodiest and at times least disciplined teams that are in NACL. So if you want some chaos in action tomorrow, I promise you'll get more than what you saw today.
You will indeed.
And I'm going to give it to Contingent 3-1.
Oh,
we'll go 3-1 or 3-2.
Gentlemen's 3-1. Well, thank you so
Giselle?
much. I think it's going to be a 3-2 contingent, but we'll see how it goes in the end.
We'll see.
That being said, though, Cubby, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so happy we're in best of fives. I'm so happy we're in elimination. I know we've been talking our heads off, and everybody wants to get going to their dinner plans that are suddenly open for how short this day was. But be sure you're back here tomorrow for that bloodiest of a heck fights that we will have between Contingent and Ole Miss. And we'll see you next time on Summoner's Rift.
The NACL is presented by Philips Norelco OneBlade.